at Tiger Stadium. It's been a tradition at this location for 85 years. And for the New York Mets tonight, they'll get their second look at this historic ballpark as the Mets and the Tigers play Game 2 of a 3-game series at Tiger Stadium. Hi again, everyone. I'm Howie Rose along with Fran Healy, and I suppose if you're going to lose, well, you might as well set a record while you're on your way to losing. That's what the Mets did last night. Beaten by the Tigers 14-0. Bobby Higginson hit 3 home runs, but 14-0, the biggest shutout defeat in the history of the New York Mets. That's 35 years they've been playing ball in the National League, and they've never been able to say that they've been shut out by 14 runs. That was the case last night, so tonight they'll send Bobby Jones out to seek his 13th win, and I'll have to do it against a Detroit Tiger team, Fran, that's played very, very well recently.
Well, Howie, they've won 4 of their last 5 ball games. They are winning, and they are rebuilding. They had a special formula last night to win that ball game. They used pitching, they used defense, they used offense, and they used speed. Thompson was the pitcher. Higginson did the job. 3 home runs in last night's game. And Brian Hunter, 4 singles. He had 2 steals. And they also mixed in defense. You can believe me on that. You can't win the game unless you catch the ball. But the Tigers now playing good baseball. Mets have to stop them with Bobby Jones on the mound.
That's Bobby Jones' job. When you've won 12 games, you're the stopper. And Bobby probably will be in the All-Star game next week. We'll look for his league-leading 13th tonight against Brian Moeller and the Tigers. First pitch coming right up. New York Mets baseball on Sports Channel is brought to you by the Coors Light Wide Mouth Can. Tap the Rockies with a smoother pour. By Discover Card, proud partner of the Smithsonian's 150th anniversary. By Nobody Beats the Wiz. For state-of-the-art home electronics, computers, cameras, music, movies, and more, nobody beats the Wiz. And by your Tri-State GMC dealers. The Detroit Tigers take the field for Game 2 of this 3-game series against the New York Mets here at Tiger Stadium after Detroit's 14-0 win last night. And the Mets will look to stop what, for them, of course, is a 1-game, no-big-deal kind of thing. But, you know, when you lose 14-0, Fran, I'm sure the feeling is that you want to come out and eradicate that bad taste right away. Do you sleep a little worse after a 14-0 defeat than you do a 2-1 loss, or is it in some ways easier to lose 2-1?
I think you sleep a little bit better, especially when you looked up and you saw that the Atlanta Braves lost their ball game. If you get beat 14-0 and the Braves won their ball game, then it's a real restless sleep. But Bobby Valentine was out here early today. In fact, Bobby, with a lot of his players, he was throwing batting practice. They were having a good time. Bobby was trying to throw the ball by him, and they were trying to hammer the baseball. But it seemed like an animated batting practice. It was about 2 o'clock this afternoon.
All right, let's take a look at the names on the lineup card that Bobby signed. It's sponsored by GMC.
All right, Howie, and leading off for the Mets will be Lance Johnson. He'll be followed by Edgardo Alfonzo and then John Olerud. The middle 3, Todd Hundley, Carlos Baerga, and then Carl Everett. And the bottom 3, Bernard Gilkey, Butch Husky, and then Luis Lopez.
All right, and who is this Brian Moeller fellow that they face? Well, he's a 6'3", 220-pound rookie who pitched most of last year, in fact, almost all of it in Double-A with Jacksonville in the Southern League, where he led that league with 15 wins. He's shown real good control lately. In his last 7 starts, he hasn't walked any more than 2 batters in any of those starts. But one thing we know about him now, he can throw a long ball. Mark McGwire of the A's hit a 514-foot homer off of Moeller. That was in Moeller's first major league win back in April. And, of course, since then, McGwire hit one 538 feet at the Kingdome off of Randy Johnson. So Moeller getting set for his first appearance against the New York Mets. And you can see that he's writing the letters on it. I'm sure he couldn't have made that out, but he writes D-A-D as he pays tribute to his father.
Well, let's face it, most of the players are led to the game of baseball by their dad, whether playing it or just going out to a ball game.
Lance Johnson in to lead off for the Mets, and he takes a strike from Moeller, whose father died shortly before opening day, so he never got to see his son pitch, at least from this season on in the big leagues. Brian with only 2 appearances towards the end of last year. And he's in front of Lance Johnson, 0-2.
Okay, he's got a great build for a pitcher. He's big, he's strong, he's got that big back, loose arm as he's coming to the plate. Reminds you a little bit of Justin Thompson from the right side with his build.
And that's off the outside corner, a ball and 2 strikes. I was talking to Lance before the game tonight. He says right now it's a matter of just trying to find his timing at the plate. The legs in terms of the shin splints, they're fine. And that's off the outside corner, 2-2.
Yeah, no matter how much batting practice you take, I mean, it keeps your muscles in good shape, but for timing, you have to get out there day after day and play in a game. And the Mets can't let this opportunity slide by. They're playing a team who, although they've won 4 out of 5, they're a rebuilding ball club.
And a roller to shortstop. Davy Cruz takes care of Johnson for the first out. Davy Cruz, part of the Detroit Tigers defensive alignment, brought to you by the new Dodge. Tony Clark, Damian Eason. That's the same infield that the Tigers featured last night. And in the outfield, Curtis Pride, the former New York Met farmhand, is in left. Brian Hunter had a great night last night. He's in center, but nothing he did could match up to those 3 home runs hit by Higginson, who moves from left to right. And there's the story of last night's game. Bobby Higginson. Downstairs to Edgardo Alfonzo, who has a 13-game hitting streak.
And keep in mind, we talked about it last night here in Detroit, one of the slower infielders, or slower infields in all of baseball.
Fastball for a strike, 1-1. And the breaking ball missed. 2-1 now on Alfonzo. During the 13-game hitting streak, Edgardo, as you see, batting at a .383 clip to get that average up to .315.
Should he be on the All-Star team?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think so, but you got to figure Chipper Jones and then everybody else, right? Bobby Bonilla has had an outstanding year offensively. He's not a good defensive third baseman. Alfonso's playing as well defensively as anybody at third base. He's hitting well over 300 now.
They might go with Roland.
That's it, deep to left center by Alfonzo. A long run, and it drops in. The center fielder Hunter up with it, and Alfonzo pulls in at second with a double.
When you have Alfonso's quiet mannerisms and his professional approach to the game, it takes him a while to get a reputation throughout baseball. Met fans appreciate him. Most fans don't recognize him. Here's that pitch to Alfonzo. He extends the hitting streak. I tell you, this kid's got some talent. And he probably won't be on the All-Star team. He finished 12th in the balloting.
But Alfonzo represents the first run of the game in scoring position with 1 out for John Olerud. Olerud had the night off last night. We talked about Bobby Valentine's interesting philosophy in resting Olerud in last night's game.
Olerud, another guy who finished, well, he finished 4th in the balloting in the National League All-Star voting. It's really too bad. And of course, he's got that quiet personality, like Alfonso.
On the ground to the right side, Tony Clark flips to Moeller covering, and crossing to third is Alfonso, 2 men away.
Well, the umpires in tonight's ballgame, Terry Kraft behind the plate, Chuck Merriweather at first base, Jim Evans, a veteran in the American League, at second base, and down at third base, Larry McCoy.
I just want to mention again why Bobby elected to rest John Olerud last night. He said, well, he's going to give him a day off sooner or later, and he was hot. He had a great game the day before in Pittsburgh, and he felt, and this is his thinking across the board, rest the guy when he's coming off a good game so he feels good about himself, and he's not wondering why the manager is sitting him. Todd Hundley takes below the knees.
Hundley's a guy who's got to hit in this ballpark for the Mets to win. He's the money man in the batting order for the Mets. All he has to do is hit that ball up in the air. As strong as he is to right field.
Batted from the right side last night against the southpaw Thompson. 2-0 now to Hundley. That short porch there in right field extends several feet out above the lower stands, which means you can be poised to catch a fly ball And it'll never come all the way down. It'll become a souvenir.
How many home runs do you think this guy would hit here?
You get into the 40s on a regular basis in all likelihood.
Right now, I wouldn't pitch to him.
I think the Tigers have the same idea as you look at that overhang.
3 balls and no strikes on Hundley. You see that fence there? That's a good enough reason to walk him. Although Baerga can go deep here. But Hundley's one of those guys you just respect his power.
That's in at the knees for a strike. 3 balls, 1 strike. Technically, they say it's a 10-foot overhang. It doesn't look 10 feet to you. That last shot, that didn't look that big to me, but 10 feet still a long way. You can plunk a few extras up there. And Hundley was thinking about that, too. A lot of room here in foul territory. Clark and Casanova over, but it becomes a souvenir.
What Todd does, you know, we've seen Todd recently just kind of get the head of the bat on the ball and not overswing, and the ball explodes off his bat, and he hits a lot of home runs when he doesn't overswing. We just saw him overswing right there because of that right field porch here in Detroit. He was out here at 2 o'clock this afternoon taking extra BP. Remember at Yankee Stadium when Beezer forced a balk? Well, Cone was pitching from the stretch. I mean, from the windup. You see Alfonso looking at the foul ball.
It'll be a payoff pitch to Hundley, and they'll have to do it again. Beezer bouncing off third, trying to distract David Cone, ultimately wound up drawing the balk, and then Edgardo Alfonso trying to do some of the same stuff, but again, Moeller working from the stretch. Now, does that look like a 10-foot overhang?
What do you think?
I'm going for about 7, but then again,
I'll go with you.
We've got experts here in Detroit.
Yeah, I'll go with the experts.
Front runner you are. Ball 4 to Hundley, runners at the corners. Where's that guy you'd want in the foxhole again? How fast did it take you to?
Just a second.
Just bolt. So the Mets with runners at first and third with 2 men out. And Carlos Baerga will be next.
Hundley now has walked 60 times.
12 intentionally.
They're the leaders in the National League. Sheffield, who's not having a good year. Bonds, who's getting hot. Bagwell, who's been hot from the get-go. Hundley, then Grace.
So Carlos Baerga will see what he can do about getting somebody home. Alfonso at third, Hundley at first with 2 out here in the first. And a nice stop by Raul Casanova, 1-0.
A lot of the ex-Indians visiting with Buddy Bell prior to the game today. Carlos Baerga, Dave Malicki. Hey, Buddy, 18 years in the big leagues, 5 years, 5 times on the American League All-Star team.
And a bouncer in the hole. Cruz throws out Baerga, and the Mets don't score. No runs a hit. They leave 2. Middle of the first. Mets nothing. Here come the Tigers. Well, Bobby Jones will go after the Detroit Tigers in his second American League assignment. Remember that he lost to the Red Sox. Let's see what the Tigers send up to face him. This lineup brought to you by Ford.
All right, Howie. Brian Hunter leads it off. He'll be followed by the star in last night's ball game. 3 home runs for Bobby Higginson. And then it'll be Travis Fryman, the middle 3, Tony Clark, Bob Hamlin, and Raul Casanova. The bottom 3, Curtis Pride, Damian Easley, and then Davy Cruz.
And 2 out of Bobby's last 3 starts, he's been hit hard. Lasted 4 innings against the Red Sox. Gave up 5 runs on 6 hits. Last time out against the Braves, went just 4 2/3. Gave up 11 hits and 10 runs, 6 of which were earned. All the numbers you look at there are brought to you by Toyota. So Brian Hunter, who had an outstanding night last night, takes a breaking ball for a strike.
Watch those infield hits.
He was on base all 5 times he came to the plate.
Look at where Luis Lopez is playing on Hunter. Not playing a deep shortstop because it is infield grass.
2-1 now to Brian Hunter.
Your natural move, your first move as an infielder should be towards the hitter. So you're aggressive in pursuit of the ball when it's hitting the ground. It's especially important in this ballpark to move aggressively in when the pitch is being thrown.
Because of the high ground?
Especially, yeah, and especially with this guy hitting.
And that's chopped over Alfonso into left field. So Hunter taking advantage of the fact that Alfonso had to be suspicious, and once again, Brian Hunter is aboard.
And he's got to run. And Higginson, again, might see some fastballs. You got to be careful when you're catching, though, because the pitchers will make note if you don't call for their best pitch. Even if it's a breaking ball in a running situation, you got to call for it.
So Higginson with the 3 home runs and 7 RBIs. You check that, 6 RBIs last night. And that's hit deep to right field by Higginson. That ball's a gunner.
Unbelievable.
Higginson does it again, and it's 2-0 Tigers.
Well, this guy had a good year last year. And he is smoking the baseball against the Mets. That's his 13th home run of the season. 4 home runs in 2 games.
I think I originally said 7 RBIs last night, and that's what he had, and now he adds 2 more on his 13th home run of the year. Also the 13th that Bobby Jones has allowed. The same deal as last night, 2-0 Tigers before a Tiger hitter has been retired.
That's an important ball game for Bobby Jones to shut him down now.
1-0 on Travis Fryman. And that's a strike.
Fryman has had trouble with the breaking ball, still trying to make that adjustment. He's a good, solid major league hitter.
Foul back, 1-2.
The clubhouse for the Tigers was closed for a long period of time today. We thought there was a very serious meeting in there. The meeting was the Kangaroo Court.
Well, that's serious, especially if you're on the docket for big bucks. Nice stop by Hundley, 2-2.
Funny, the coaches were on the field talking baseball, and the players were in the clubhouse operating a Kangaroo Court.
It's been a much more positive environment here now than it was last year when the Tigers lost 109 games. 3-2 to Travis Fryman. Fryman looking to extend a 7-game hitting streak, and even last year they said what a great job that man, Buddy Bell, was doing here. Hit deep to left by Fryman. Back to the wall, Gilkey, and that's a gunner. 3-0 Tigers, 8 home runs in last night's game and the first inning tonight combined. Well, that'll open your eyes all right. Just think, the Tigers only 6th in the American League in home runs. They've impressed Bobby Valentine with their long ball ability over the last couple of nights.
And their real long ball hitters now batting.
Ball 1 to Tony Clark, 7th in the American League in homers, and Travis Fryman extending his hitting streak now with that home run to 8 games. 1-1 on Clark.
Buddy Bell was telling me before the ball game the Tigers have struggled against pitchers like Bobby Jones. No struggle right now. He's a guy who's probably the best defensive third baseman in baseball for about 10 years.
Think about it, though. You lose 109 games and still everybody loves the manager. That's hit deep to left by Clark, but Gilkey will have some room. 1 long out.
Now it's time for our Discover card playback, and it's Bobby Higginson once again, a home run. Look at that ball out over the plate. His 4th consecutive home run. He sandwiched in a couple walks last night. 4 consecutive home runs, and he's making it look easy.
And for Bobby Jones, it's been difficult. Last time out against Atlanta, first inning tonight. Now here's Bob Hamlin. He was 1 for 4 in last night's game. Probably know the story by now on Hamlin, former American League Rookie of the Year with the Royals back in '94. Wound up playing some of the next year in the minor leagues. His descent that bad and that rapid. And then last winter he had laser surgery on his eyes. And now he's hitting at .327. Three balls, no strikes.
mentioned Todd Hollinsworth, who was Rookie of the Year last year in the National League. He was sent down to AAA this year. What an experience that must be, from Rookie of the Year to the minor leagues.
Popped up. Will it stay in play? Should be some room for Alfonso, and there is.
Well, let's take a look at Travis Fryman's home run. Fryman, a guy who's struggled with the breaking ball, but a real good major league player. And here he is facing Bobby Jones in the first inning. Fastball. He was up on the count, and he took advantage of it. Home run for Travis Fryman. And it's 3-0 Detroit.
Well, balls get caught up in the wind. Lance Johnson was telling me before the game how there are wind tunnels in left and right center in this ballpark. We've certainly seen the ball fly out to left field as Raul Casanova takes a strike. Oh, and 2 to Casanova. Lance was saying there's actually a jet stream in left center and right center. Doesn't affect the balls down the line as much, but you get it up in the air, left or right center field, and the ball has a chance to go for a ride.
Especially right field.
Pop foul by Casanova. That'll reach the seats. Still 0-2.
You know, there was a lot of talk about Ted Williams, what he would do if he played at Yankee Stadium in the prime of his career. He said, forget Yankee Stadium. Give me Tiger Stadium. The Mets are going to be shell-shocked if Bobby Jones doesn't shut this door here.
But he overpowers Casanova, and the side retired, but not before. The Tigers get 3 more. 2 home runs in the inning, including Bobby Higginson's 4th in 2 nights. 3-0 Detroit.
Mets Baseball on Sports Channel is brought to you in part by Aeropostale Specialty Stores, an American tradition since 1987. Visit one of our tri-state locations.
Time for a quick quiz. Name the only Major League stadium where the flagpole is in play. Quick answer, Tiger Stadium, and there's an interesting ground rule that goes along with it. If you hit a ball at this yellow line or below and it bounces and stays in play, it's all you can get. If it bounces over the fence, it's a ground rule double. If you hit anything on this flagpole above that yellow line, it's a home run. Can't say in the illustrious history of this ballpark if anyone's ever done it, but I imagine once or twice it's probably happened, fellas.
Well, that flagpole on the field isn't unique from an historical perspective when you consider that at the old Yankee Stadium they had the flagpole and the monuments on the field. Of course, in those days, the center field fence was somewhere in Fort Lee, New Jersey, 461 feet away. 2-0 to Carl Everett. Everett went 0 for 3 in last night's ball game. Mets trail 3-0 here in the second. And that's fouled straight back. Everett batting .384 over his last 20 games. And he has just about become a regular, and Brian Moeller has been much more effective against the right-handers. In the air, right field. Pretty deep, but room for Higginson. 1 down in the Mets second.
It's amazing. The ball wasn't hit that hard, but Everett hit the ball to deep right field.
You can see the wind blowing across from right.
Some famous home runs hit here at Tiger Stadium. Howard, you mentioned the All-Star game where Reggie Jackson hit one. Harmon Killebrew hit one in that game. Frank Robinson.
And Bernard Gilkey batting 7th tonight for the first time as a Met. Goes after the first pitch. Tony Clark puts it away for the second out. Actually, the 3rd time as a Met that Gilkey has batted in the 7-hole. 8 spots in the batting order unless you get into the American League, of course. And when Bernard Gilkey was in St. Louis, he said Joe Torre batted him at every one of those spots somewhere along the line from 1 through 8. So 2 out, nobody on, and Butch Husky, the designated hitter tonight. Butch has the average up to 290 now. He thought about a bunt, 0-1.
He's just trying to bring the infielders in, I hope.
2 out, nobody on in the second. 3-0 Detroit. A ball and a strike on Butch.
Well, a lot of people wrote Butch Husky off during the month of April, as Howie just mentioned, 290 batting average, 10 home runs.
Butch, the DH in the Yankee series. Up the middle to his right, Easley. Nice play by Damian Easley, and the side retired. So the Mets go in order, and in the middle of the second here in Detroit, it's 3-0 Tigers. Those 3 runs produced by 2 homers. 2-run shot by Higginson, solo homer by Fryman. Those were back-to-back in the first inning. And so Bobby Jones will work to a former Met farmhand, Curtis Pride.
Quite a story.
Yep. 0-1 to Curtis, who is mostly deaf, works with the hearing impaired in the Detroit area, and has been able to foster a solid professional career despite his handicap. Inside, almost hit him 1-1.
Well, Curtis Pride won the Tony Conigliaro Award. You see the other names. Players overcoming adversity. A shame what happened to Tony Conigliaro. What a player he was with those Boston Red Sox till he was beamed by Jack Hamilton.
Chopper up the middle. Baerga has no chance. And Curtis Pride has a leadoff infield hit here in the second. So 4 hits now off of Bobby Jones, and Damian Easley, who had one of the long balls in last night's home run derby, will be next.
Boy, every time a Tiger puts the ball in play, it's a hit this past 2 nights. Here's an infield hit for Curtis Pride.
So keep an eye on Pride as Damian Easley steps in. He's got a modest 4-game hitting streak. And Bobby just looks Pride back to first.
Okay, Buddy Bell very impressed with Easley. Said what hurt him with the Angels is he was hurt a lot. But he's come into his own here with the Tigers. Buddy Bell is very high on this guy. 11 home runs for second baseman, 31 RBIs.
Easley, a former California Angel, as Pride gets a further workout. After Pride left the Mets system, he wound up in Montreal. And that's hit hard but foul down the left field line. Some big stuff happening at Shea Stadium on Jackie Robinson weekend coming up over the July 4th holiday. Mets have added a special post-game Motown concert on Saturday, and it's July the 5th. Martha Reeves and the Vandellas, the Miracles, the Groove Pushers, and more will be there.
Keep in mind, we are in Motown right now.
That's right. You're looking for free concerts, personalized concerts. That's hit hard. Gobbled up by Alfonso. There's one. And a double play. Put a circle around that one.
Well, in order to be a good defensive player, whatever position you're at, you have to have soft and quick hands. If you want to see soft and quick hands, Alfonso just showed to them. Here it is again. This ball is hit hard. It does take a last-minute tricky hop. Watch Alfonso with those soft hands come up. That's why it's important to learn to play the game and field ground balls with one hand. You couldn't do this with 2 hands. You see how quick his hands were? Relaxed. You got to learn to play this game with one hand, Howie.
And the other hand tied behind your back, you're trying to say, right? So a good play by Alfonso. Now it's 1-0 on the shortstop, Davy Cruz. And he elevates. The ballpark too big for that one to do any damage. And so Gilkey puts it away, and the side retired. No runs a hit, the double play, nobody left, and at the end of 2, it's still 3-0 Tigers. Third inning at Tiger Stadium. The Mets down by 3. Luis Lopez, Lance Johnson, and Edgardo Alfonso to face the 25-year-old rookie Brian Moeller for Detroit. Now, about this National League All-Star team, take a look at third base, Fran. This is what's wrong with the system if you subscribe to the fact that the All-Star game should feature the best in their positions this year. Caminetti was the MVP last year, but he's been on the DL. He came back too soon from his surgery. Lopez with a chopper to Tony Clark, who takes it himself for the first out. But, I mean, Chipper Jones, Bobby Bonilla, Edgardo Alfonzo, and Scott Rowland, to name 4, are all more worthy of starting at third base this year.
But he had such a great year last year to carry over, and he got the votes. How about the first baseman? Most underrated player in all of baseball, Jeff Bagwell. Tomorrow we are going to interview the most underrated player in the American League, Tony Clark, on the pregame show.
Lance Johnson takes downstairs. 1 ball, no strikes on Lance. And that's what Lance was talking about when he alluded to just needing to get his timing at the plate. 14 games isn't enough to get it back. At least not in his opinion yet.
Oh, no, it's tough. Boy, you got to get out there. You got to play every day, and you get into that rhythm.
1 ball, 1 strike on Johnson. So Moeller ahead to the Mets leadoff hitter. And that fan wearing Red Wings jersey number 19 and the C for captain Stevie Yzerman. Finally got to hold the Stanley Cup aloft this year.
Stanley Cup is very light.
You think so, huh?
Oh, absolutely. Everybody can hold it aloft.
About 35 pounds worth of light. Probably feels like a feather when you've just won it. 2-2 on Johnson. Lance now 2 for 13 on this road trip after going 0 for 3 last night. That's grounded to the hole. Look at that quick release by Davy Cruz. Put a circle around that one.
Buddy Bell is very high on this kid. Made an interesting point. You know, Tony Fernandez came on the scene about 15, maybe 12 years ago in the major leagues, very fancy, and Latin American shortstops became fancy, but he said this kid's a Latin American shortstop who doesn't play like a Latin American shortstop. He goes with the basics. He said he gets in front of the ball when he can. He tries to stay away from fancy plays. Now, this is an outstanding play. That's the litmus test for a shortstop. He passed.
Alfonzo takes a strike, and not only was that a strong throw, but it was right there, too.
Yeah, Buddy Bell's very high on him.
Alfonzo doubled in the first inning. 2 out, nobody on, 3-0 Detroit.
You know what Buddy said about this ball club? He said the chemistry in the clubhouse is unbelievable. That's a great play right there by Davy Cruz. Lance Johnson thrown out at first base.
And the 1-1 taken outside for a ball. Well, you keep mentioning Buddy Bell and the job he's done, and you probably can't say it enough, because I don't know if there's been a manager since Casey Stengel who lost 109 games and basically had the support of everybody in town. That drops in for a base hit, and Alfonzo is now 2 for 2. He probably didn't think Caminiti should have been a starter at third base either. So Alfonzo aboard with 2 out, and John Olerud will be next. But the game's changed over the years. The All-Star game has. When the players voted for each other, in effect, it was a reward for first-half performance.
Well, I wouldn't say it was completely objective. I'm sure personalities came into play there. Not as much as, say, it would come into play with the fans voting. But you know what? It's fans' game. Let them vote.
Oh, I agree with that. It's just, it's changed the scope of the game a little bit. I mean, I could throw names at you, like Ron Hunt was the first Met ever to start in an All-Star game in 1964 as a second-year player. Under today's system, he never would have been the starter. Guys like Bill Mazeroski and Julian Javier. Nice stop by Casanova, 1-1.
Of course, Barry Bonds is not on the All-Star team. Of course, he gets negative publicity. That's going to hurt him with the fans.
Well, he's brought it on himself, you know.
But he might end up the most valuable player in the National League because he's red hot right now. And if that happens, I think only one other guy was the most valuable player in the National League who did not make the All-Star team.
Olerud with a roller to Easley at second, and the Mets are done in the third. No runs a hit. They leave one. Middle of 3 in Detroit. 3-0. Well, the Tigers will send the top of their batting order up against Bobby Jones in the third inning, which means Bobby Higginson will get another shot. Higginson with 4 home runs in his last 4 official at-bats. 3 last night and 1 in the first inning off of Jones, who will go to work on Brian Hunter, who has to feel somewhat overlooked in all that he's done in the last 2 games. Get on base every time he's come to the plate. 5 times last night, albeit once on an error and once on a walk.
The way the Tigers have played last night and again tonight, you know what you start thinking about?
You know what? Looking at that 5 for 5 before you say that, they changed the scoring last night on what originally was ruled an error. They gave Brian Hunter a base hit. And he also walked. That's going to be tough for Alfonso. But he gets it
that's
there.
a terrific play by Edgardo Alfonso.
Hunter looked going down the line a bit. I wonder if that might have cost him a step.
Not many third basemen make this play. Watch Alfonso. He can do it. Outstanding play. And, of course, Oler would making a grab at the other end of that play. But a fine play by Alfonso. He had to get rid of it. And, of course, now the story here in Detroit, Bobby Higginson.
23 players in the history of baseball have hit 4 home runs over 4 official consecutive at-bats over 2 games. The only man who's done it twice.
Don't say it. Don't say it. No, if you say it.
Yeah.
We're going to live with this man if you say it. You know
That's all right. We'd do that anytime. Our pal Ralph Kiner.
he can hammer.
1-1 to Higginson.
This guy, here's the story here in Detroit. As you mentioned, Ralph Kiner did it twice.
Below the knees, 2-1. So Higginson now trying to do something no one's ever done over 2 games. 5 consecutive home runs and 5 straight official at-bats. And it's 2 balls, 2 strikes now to the Tigers' right fielder. Higginson also can play the outfield. 13 assists this year, most in the majors. On the outside corner. So that streak comes to a close. Higginson retired.
Hands are booing.
I don't think they're booing Higginson.
No, I hope not. What are you talking about, this Tiger ball club? The way they played last night and again tonight, you wonder how come they're not in first place. Here's that last pitch from Bobby Jones. Look at the ball movement. Right on the money. But you know, you hit a home run off a pitch like that last night.
So 2 out, nobody on. Travis Fryman homered his last time up. Shoots one towards the left field line, and Gilkey has to play it on a hop. So Fryman 2 for 2. That's a 2-out single, and Tony Clark will be next.
Well, that play that Edgardo Alfonso made was spectacular. To get Hunter at first base, the way he can run. Now we're going to take a look at our league leaders, brought to you by your local Chrysler Plymouth dealers. And when you look at those league leaders, you have to look at this guy, Tony Clark. How about at-bats per home run, active career stats? Tony Clark, who came into the major leagues last year in June.
Look at McGuire. That's second all time. Babe Ruth first. The aforementioned Ralph Kiner third.
McGuire's probably the greatest home run hitter of all time.
Oh, you're going to get some mail. Why is he better than Babe Ruth? Or Hank Aaron?
Oh, he's special. You just take a look at him. I mean, the most dominating home run hitter. You see this guy swing a bat? See where the balls land?
Well, we mentioned that tonight's Tiger pitcher, Brian Moeller, gave up a 514-foot homer to McGuire in his ballpark. Randy Johnson outdid Moeller, 538.
Ask those 2 guys who they think hit the ball further than anybody ever to play the game. Had to be Mark McGuire. I mean, it's incredible the way this guy hits the ball.
But the longer they go, they still count as 1 home run.
Yeah, well, I agree.
3-0 to Tony Clark. Taking, and it's 3-1.
So you're going with the Babe. Well, what about Sadahara Hall? What about Henry Aaron, as you mentioned?
Well, they say Babe Ruth, and I wasn't around, of course, played in a dead ball era. But I mean, think when
I don't buy all that. You know what? They must have used a live ball, and he hit it.
Only when Ruth was
I
up.
bet somebody complained about it.
Hit hard by Clark. That's a base hit to right field. Fryman will stop at second as Everett plays it back in. A couple of 2-out singles for the Tigers, and Bob Hamlin will be the batter. Tigers now with 6 hits off of Bobby Jones.
Well, Bobby struggled in his last outing against the Braves. He pitched a good game against the Pirates prior to that. Also struggled against the Red Sox. after his 13th victory, but it's a struggle here in Detroit. The Tigers have a 3-0 lead. Can't let them get any more runs. Mets aren't doing anything with their bats.
Well, Roger Clemens failed in a bid for number 13 today as the Expos beat the Blue Jays 2-1. And Bobby Valentine hoping Bobby Jones can get it straightened out. Hamlin fouled to third, his first time up.
How about Jeff Juden? Took a no-hitter into the 8th inning in that ball game, the Expos and the Blue Jays. How about Denny McLain, the last 30-game winner, doing it here in this ballpark?
That's fouled back this way. 1 ball, 1 strike on Hamlin. That's why you wear a glove when you do a game at Tiger Stadium. Those babies shoot back pretty quickly. Landed a little bit to our left. One of the treasures of the Detroit area, the voice of Ernie Harwell, the voice of the Tigers. We'll take a listen to his work in the 4th inning.
Have you ever heard a bad word about Ernie Harwell?
No.
One of the nicest men in the world.
I'd never met him until yesterday. He took me on a tour of this ballpark.
Oh, he is a terrific guy.
2-1 to Hamlin. 2 out, 2 on in the 3rd. 3-0 Tigers. Ball 3.
I thought you were leaving the booth. You're a little nervous out
I'm
there.
getting behind you, big boy. Left-handers at the plate against right-handed pitchers especially have a tendency to challenge the physical well-being of those situated in the broadcast booth. All right, it'll be a 3-1 to Hamlin. Fran will tell me what happened.
He fouled it off.
Full count, huh?
He was behind me. You're worried about this guy, I can tell.
Well, because of this leather here. It says Reggie Jackson in the pocket.
That's a problem.
You're wearing a Reggie glove. Don't count on catching too much.
Oh.
But I won't go after you the way he went after Billy.
Now, this is our broadcast booth, and you can start to see as we pan back just how close that is. You may not have a real good feel for it, but trust us, it's a lot closer than in any other park.
Runners go, hit deep to right field. You can forget it. to nothing tonight. 20-0 Detroit over the last 2 games. They hit 6 dingers last night, 3 more tonight. We're only in the 3rd inning. And these haven't been cheap home runs either. Bobby looks impressed.
Well, he was Rookie of the Year, ended up in the minor leagues, but he's been doing a job since coming to the Tigers. Hamlin with the home run. Just incredible the way the Tigers are swinging these bats.
You know, usually you look up and down your scorecard when a team starts piling up the hits and runs, and you say, okay, who hasn't had a hit? It's coming down to who hasn't had a home run in the last 2 games.
And the Tigers are making it look too easy last night and again tonight. Watch Hamlin swing. Big guy, strong guy, wants to get the head of the bat on the ball, those relaxed hands, and he gets the head of the bat out there. And he said, I'm going to swing up in the air, because if I hit this ball in the air, I get a home run.
You know, all of a sudden, I can see why the Tigers tried to change Rico Bronia's swing. Not that it turned out to be the right thing to do. 1-1 to Casanova, but you'll remember that when Rico, the former Met, was in the Tigers system, they wanted to make him a dead pull hitter to take advantage of what Bobby Higginson and Bob Hamlin have taken advantage of. Rico just doesn't have that kind of swing, and it was only when he came to the Mets that he was allowed to swing the bat his natural way, and he became a major league hitter.
I'll tell you, there is a temptation in this ballpark for a left-hand hitter to crowd the plate, choke up on the bat, and challenge pitchers to come inside, and then you can take the ball outside and jerk it into right field.
Nothing doing in the Met bullpen. The 1-2 to Casanova on the inside corner. And for Bobby Jones, his 3rd strikeout. But the long ball hurt him again. The damage done by Hamlin, the hammer.
New York Mets baseball on Sports Channel is brought to you in part by the new Dodge. See your local Dodge dealer today.
We're back in Detroit, where since 1960, the fans have been able to listen to Ernie Harwell broadcast a game. He is now in his 58th year as a broadcaster overall, and in 1981, he was inducted into the Broadcasters Wing of Baseball's Hall of Fame. And he has been gracious enough here in the top half of the fourth inning to let us listen in to the golden tones of Ernie Harwell.
Only on Passport, home of the Tigers, home of the home team.
Todd Hundley leading it off. It is 6-0. Tigers in the lead over the Mets, and he takes the ball outside. Ryan Muller, the North Carolinian, on the mound. The Tigers putting on a home run attack here against the New Yorkers. Ground ball foul. Scatters him in the Met dugout. And the count on Hundley, 1-1. Hundley, one of those great hitting catchers. There's some good ones now. When you look at the averages of Sandy Alomar, Mike Piazza, Ivan Rodriguez, all hitting around 350. Hundley with that 19 home run total. It's a wide one.
Well, you like the way he attacks the ball. He is an aggressive hitter, and that's what you got to be up here to be successful.
Outfield deep and straight away on the switch batting catcher. And he pops it in the air, foul. It'll be out of play.
Well, the catchers historically have not put up the big high averages.
The highest average of any catcher is Bill Dickey back in 1936. He hit 362. But did not win the batting title that year. And the Chief Myers of the old New York Giants was second with 358. 2-2 pitch to Hundley. And he struck him out. That's the first strikeout recorded by the Tiger pitcher Moeller.
Well, when you can make a pitch like this and an aggressive hitter, it's a good one. A straight swing. And Huntley way out in front. Didn't throw off the ball, but good motion. And Brian Moeller that time completely through.
Now the former American leaguer, switch batting Carlos Baega at the plate. And Carlos hits one up the middle, and it goes easily. He can't get it. It's past him. A base hit for Baega, makes the turn and holds it first. That'll be the third hit for the Mets. Alfonso has a double and a single, and Baega has a single. Well, he's got power from both sides, no question about that. Here's Everett, the right fielder. A 262 hitter, the infield and double play depth against him. Tigers in the lead, 6-0. It's a ball outside. Moeller trying to get his record even. He's 5-6 right now. Delivers outside. 2-0 on Carl Everett. Tigers won the opener last night. They lead in this one 6-0. The finale will be here tomorrow afternoon at the corner of Michigan and Trumbull. It's Baega at first base. Fly ball hit into rather short left center field. Curtis Pride puts it away. That'll make it 2 down. Gilkey will be the batter now for the New Yorkers.
Well, you can tell already that Brian Moeller here. Brian Moeller has completely changed up. All problems, repetitive, not volunteering his pitches, and with the hair, working with him in between starts has been really following through, pushing off the run.
Gilkey takes a ball outside the breaking pitch from Brian.
Tigers got on the board in a hurry, picking up where they left off last night. 2-run homer by Higginson and the home run by Fryman in the first inning. Then a 3-run homer by Hamlin in the third to establish that 6-0 lead. 1-1, the count on Bernard Gilkey. Breeze is now coming in from right field. That's out of the east. Pop up out in that direction toward.
We're back in Detroit, where since 1960 the fans have been able to listen to Ernie Harwell broadcast a game. He is now in his 58th year as a broadcaster overall, and in 1981 he was inducted into the broadcasters wing of baseball's Hall of Fame, and he has been gracious enough here in the top half of the fourth inning to let us listen in to the golden tones of Ernie Harwell.
Only a passport, home of the Tigers, home of the home team.
Todd Hundley leading it off. It is 6-0. Tigers in the lead over the Mets, and he takes the ball outside. Ryan Muller, the North Carolinian, on the mound. The Tigers putting on a home run attack here against the New Yorkers. Ground ball foul. Scatters him in the Met dugout. And the count on Hundley, 1-1. Hundley, one of those great hitting catchers. There's some good ones now. When you look at the averages of Sandy Alomar, Mike Piazza, Ivan Rodriguez, all hitting around 350. Hundley with that 19 home run total. It's a wide one.
Well, you like the way he taps the ball. He is an aggressive hitter, and that's what you got to be up here to be successful.
Outfield deep and straight away on the switch batting catcher. And he pops it in the air, foul. It'll be out of play. Well, the catchers historically have not put up the big high averages. The highest average of any catcher is Bill Dickey back in 1936. He hit 362. But did not win the batting title that year. And the Chief Myers of the old New York Giants was second with 358. 2-2 pitch to Hundley. And he struck him out. That's the first strikeout recorded by the Tiger pitcher Moeller.
Well, when you can make a pitch like this and an aggressive hitter, it's a good one. A straight change. Huntley way out in front. Didn't throw off the ball, but good motion. And Brian Moeller that time completely threw it.
Now the former American leaguer, switch batting Carlos Baega at the plate. And Carlos hits one up the middle. It goes easily. He can't get it. It's past him. A base hit for Baega, makes the turn and holds it first. That'll be the third hit for the Mets. Alfonso has a double and a single, and Baega has a single. Well, he's got power from both sides, no question about that. Here's Everett, the right fielder. A 262 hitter, the infield and double play depth against him. Tigers in the lead, 6-0. It's a ball outside. Moeller trying to get his record even. He's 5-6 right now. Delivers outside. 2-0 on Carl Everett. Tigers won the opener last night. They lead in this one 6-0. The finale will be here tomorrow afternoon at the corner of Michigan and Trumbull. It's Baega at first base. Fly ball hit into rather short left center field. Curtis Pride puts it away. That'll make it 2 down. Gilkey will be the batter now for the New Yorkers.
Well, you can tell already that Brian Moeller here. Brian Moeller has completely changed the
Gilkey takes a ball outside the breaking pitch from Bryan. Tigers got on the board in a hurry, picking up where they left off last night. 2-run homer by Higginson and the home run by Fryman in the first inning. Then a 3-run homer by Hamlin in the third to establish that 6-0 lead. 1-1 the count on Bernard Gilkey. Breeze is now coming in from right field. That's out of the east. Pop up out in that direction toward right. It's not very deep. Here comes Higginson on the run. Makes the catch.
All right, thanks to Hall of Famer Ernie Harwell. Tigers by 6 as we go to the last of the 4th inning. And all season long, we've been giving you such positive, glowing numbers about Bobby Jones. Those numbers have started to turn south over the last few games as Curtis Pride, who's singled off of Jones, gets set to lead off the 4th. For example, Bobby's ERA over his last 4 games, including this one, 7.97, and that includes his 8 2/3 innings of shutout ball against Pittsburgh when he won 1-0. But there's more. Just over his last 2 games. Wait till you hear these numbers. On the outside corner, 1-1. In his last 7 2/3 innings, he's allowed 18 hits and 16 runs over 7 2/3 innings. 12 of those 16 runs of the earned variety, but throw out the runs if you want. 18 hits over 7 2/3 innings. 1-2 now on Pride. And Curtis Pride, we told you before about the work that he does with the hearing impaired. He's a lip reader. He doesn't use sign language. He's able to get by simply reading lips. And you see the hearing aid. Line drive by Erges. Got it. 1 man away.
Hey fans, win a trip to see the Mets play in Colorado with the Coors Light Sports Channel Getaway. See the Rockies contest. Send us a postcard to the address on the screen before July 6th for your chance to win. Keep watching Sports Channel for more details.
1 out in the 4th. Damian Easley, the batter for Detroit. This is game 2 of a 3-game series that concludes tomorrow afternoon. I'll have that one for you on Sports Channel. The Sports Authority game time at 12:30. Dave Malicki will face Willie Blair.
This Tiger Ball Club really struggled last year. Right now, they have worked their way out of last place in the Eastern Division of the American League.
In the air, left field, pretty deep. Is it in that jet stream? Yes, it is. It's a gunner for a home run. You had to wait because Gilkey went as high as he could, but Damian Easley has made it 7-0 Detroit. Their 4th home run of the night, their 10th in the last 2 games.
And here's a second baseman with 12 home runs. He's having quite a year here in Detroit. We talked about the rebuilding Detroit Tigers, and they are starting to win. They have won 4 or 5 ball games. Gilkey back to the wall, getting all the help he needed.
Somebody wound up with it, but it wasn't Bernard Gilkey, so it's 7-0.
I don't think it was the guy behind him. He closed his glove, but did he catch the ball? Because he looked at Gilkey like Gilkey caught it.
0-2 to Davy Cruz.
We can take another look. Did Gilkey catch it, or who caught it? There's a hat. It's a hat. The hat, it fell.
Looked like it went off of the hat and then dropped down.
He must have retrieved that ball.
Line drive off the glove of Carlos Baerga. And Davy Cruz is aboard. Let's see how they rule that.
Base hit. Got to give it a ball hit hard. Carlos Baerga unable to come up with it. There is nothing right now going the Mets' way. Here it is, a line drive. Not really that tough a play for Baerga. But the Mets have nothing going these last 2 games.
So it's a single for Cruz, and Bobby Valentine has Corey Lytle throwing in the bullpen.
And once again, you're going to see Met fans pulling for the Yankees to beat the Braves. As Corey Lytle taking his warm-up tosses.
Corey has a twin brother who's in the Tiger organization. Right now, Bobby Jones could care less about Kevin Lytle or Corey Lytle or any other body named Lytle. He's down 7 runs. And Brian Hunter, who's been tough to get in this series, takes a fastball inside, 1-0. Hunter on base all 5 times last night. Singled in the first, leading off this game, and was robbed by Alfonso his next time up. 2 balls, no strikes.
You know, it's funny when you're on the field and you're playing against the ball club and things are happening to you like this, you feel like your hands and your feet are tied. There's nothing you can do, offensively or defensively. And everything the Tigers have done is turned to gold.
Higginson knows all about it with 4 home runs. Breaking ball on the outside corner to Hunter.
10 home runs for the Tigers yesterday and today. They had a nice series in Boston, beating the Red Sox in the series. And that guy, Buddy Bell, has done the job managing the Tigers.
Off speed for a strike. It's 2-2.
You know, we talk about Buddy Bell, but it must be very difficult for an owner to sit there or a general manager and watch the team struggle and struggle and struggle and still believe in the manager.
Well, Randy Smith, a young, aggressive general manager, came in and said, let's face it, it's going to take some time here. And Baerga has some time to get under that pop-up by Hunter. 2 men away.
But, I mean, you know, Randy Smith said, well, it's going to take some time, but then you got to convince the owner to be patient and the president of the team to be patient. It has taken some time. Tigers look very good to the Mets right now.
Well, they're a month ahead of schedule. Randy Smith and the Tigers last year needed until August the 1st in their 108th game to win their 36th. They've won 36 now, and all it's taken them has been 78 games.
And what did they do to Buddy Bell? They gave him an extension.
So here's Higginson, who's extended his arms 4 times in this series and reached the seats.
A lot of extensions here in Detroit.
Tigers with 10 home runs in the last 2 games, now 3 away from the record. The San Francisco Giants hit 13 home runs over 2 games in 1961, and then the Yankees in 1939.
By the way,
13 in 2 games.
By the way, speaking of the Giants, we were talking, Steve Jans and I were talking to Ernie Harwell before the ball game and asked him who was the best player he's ever seen. Willie Mays.
A lot of people might not remember that Ernie Harwell broadcast Dodgers games. I played at Ebbets Field.
And he also did, I believe, the Giants. In fact,
Alfonso over for a look, but Higginson's ball is in the upper deck.
In fact, everybody is familiar with the great home run call by Russ Hodges when Bobby Thompson hit the home run off Al Franco. Well, Russ Hodges also had a call of that. He was doing television that day for the Giants.
Yeah, a couple of calls of that game exist that most people haven't heard. Ernie's call of the Thompson home run, and also Red Barber.
Doesn't exist. Ernie's doesn't exist. They didn't keep the tape.
Red Barber's does.
Yes, it does. Yes, Red's does, but Ernie's doesn't.
And the 0-2 spins Higginson around. So the Tigers, 7 runs, 9 hits. There's Ernie. Think about Mel Allen, Red Barber, and Ernie Harwell. All from the South, all with that wonderful dulcet tone. And Baerga throws out Higginson. The side retired, but the Tigers tack one on Easley's home run. Tigers by a touchdown.
Dunkin' Donuts introduces a cool coffee drink, a new coffee Coolada. A cool, refreshing new taste. Available at participating Dunkin' Donuts shops throughout the tri-state area. Try one today.
Well, the Mets down by 7. They were down 14 last night when it was over, so they've been outscored 21-0 by the Tigers. And Husky goes after the first pitch. Tony Clark calls off Casanova. Casanova put up his hands go to Sam Sterling to get out of Clark's way.
Well, Clark took charge, and he is the unofficial captain of this ball club. Now, this is what happens. The catcher gives way. You're supposed to give way. Up,
Sterling. Don't touch Sterling.
Up. Clark is 6'7". When he says something, that's what you do. Throw your hands up and start backing up.
Casanova providing some entertainment, and Luis Lopez takes downstairs.
In baseball, as you've heard so many times before, when an infielder calls for the ball, the catcher's supposed to step away, and I think that is overrated. You remember how good Gary Carter was in foul balls? Todd Hundley's real good in foul balls. Bill Freehan, who caught here in Detroit, outstanding on foul balls. Let the catcher catch it.
You didn't have enough to do during a game, did you?
Yeah, but you know the thing is, that's the easy part of catching. You take away the catcher's aggressiveness by enforcing that rule that was probably stated by some infielder.
Can we get some cheese up here to go along with that wine? Easley will not have a play as Casanova backing up plays the carom, and Lopez will hold on at first base. So the Mets have a base runner with one man out, and it's a base hit for Lopez.
Well, easily getting over and slipping. Tough to throw from that position. And Lopez was by first base. It would have been tough to get Lopez even if he caught that ball standing up. Now you see easily throw the ball by the first baseman. Who picks up the ball? The hustling catcher. Let me tell you something. That's another thing that's overrated, backing up first base. How many times you see a catcher save the day for the team, and they run down there all day and all night?
So you say it's false hustle.
It is false hustle, and I'll tell you.
So that poor young man that you're looking at right now did such a splendid job.
Well, he's trained to do that. It's not, you know, somebody came up with this false hustle. You know who excelled in that false hustle?
You gonna tell me Pete Rose?
No, you're sitting next to him.
I saw you play, and I don't remember.
Well, you didn't watch me back up first.
Well, it's hard to do that when you're in the bullpen.
No, you can do it.
1-0 on Lance Johnson. Mets trying to get something going here, down 7. And Johnson shoots one to short left, but that's where Curtis Pride is. So 2 out, 1 on. Alfonso will be next. And you get ready now for Sports Channel's live pregame coverage of this year's Major League All-Star Game with All-Star Cleveland, an American sports classic. Visit our website at www.sportschannel.com for information on how you can be a part of the show. Then tune in for Sports Channel's 2-hour special live from Jacobs Field a week from tonight. That's July the 8th, All-Star Cleveland, an American sports classic, Tuesday, July 8th from 6 to 8 p.m. on Sports Channel. Here's a guy who deserves to be there, Edgardo Alfonso. It'll have to be as a reserve, and he may be victimized by the numbers, but 2 more hits tonight, the average at .321, and no one has played a better brand of third base in the National League. No balls and 1 strike on Alfonso. Ken Caminetti voted the starter this year off of last year's MVP performance. Fouled straight back, 0-2. We saw Caminetti 3 months ago today on opening day in San Diego, and a lot of people there said it was miraculous that he was in the lineup after having shoulder surgery during the offseason.
Maybe he didn't give enough credit to Mother Nature and rushed it.
I agree with you. Don't let that get out, though. 0-2 on Alfonso. And that's a slow roller, but Easley's there, and the side retired. No runs, a hit. 1 man left, halfway home on the Modell scoreboard. All Tigers.
Well, Sports Channel and GHI salute Edward G. Mahar Jr., the GHI Health Insurance Broker of the Day. Contact the GHI Broker for all your health insurance needs.
Well, 7-0 Tigers as we go to the last of the 5th inning. Now an official ball game, which is worth noting because there are some storm clouds ahead or above, as there have been around the Mets over the last couple of games, and their pitching. And that department now handled by Corey Lytle, who takes over for Bobby Jones. Lytle last pitched on Sunday, went 3 innings against the Pirates. And he's proven resilient. You know, you talk about pitchers' ability to come back after working a few innings one day. Can he pitch an inning or two a day or two later? And Corey Lidle's been able to do that.
Well, he challenged Fryman. We talked about Fryman earlier. Good fastball hitter, has a little bit of trouble with the breaking ball, and jumped on a 3-1 fastball early in the game and hit a home run. He has a single also in this ball game. But as we mentioned earlier, everything the Tigers are doing right now is positive, and everything the Mets are doing has been negative here in Detroit.
Check swing. Did he go? He certainly did. He's punched out by Chuck Merriweather.
Breaking ball.
So one away. Let's visit with Matt Loughlin. Matty?
All right, Howie, I'm way up in the upper deck in right field. This has been home run derby the last 2 games for the Detroit Tigers, and Tony Clark's kind of been silent, so maybe he'll have a chance to hit one. I'll try to grab it, or at least track down the guy who does catch it. We'll stay here for John Olerud and Todd Hundley get their shot at this short porch, which, by the way, I measured. It's not quite 10 feet. It's 9 feet 8 inches overhanging right field.
Picky, picky, picky. Tony Clark takes an upper deck swing and misses.
By the way, there's a feature on the Pennant Chase, a show, television show here, seen on Sports Channel, feature on Tony Clark. And we will interview him on a pregame show tomorrow.
One-time second overall draft pick of the Tigers, who also played basketball for Lute Olson of Arizona and at Tony Gwynn's alma mater, San Diego State.
He's got a terrific build for a first baseman and a basketball player.
Had some back problems that required surgery.
You got to give up basketball because of that back problem. A sport that Howie doesn't deal with comfortably, basketball.
No time when you're chasing hockey players around. Well, Clark now is hitting 7 straight games. And that's downstairs, 2-2.
He came up in June of last year and hit 20 home runs from June to the end of the season. Right now, he has 20 home runs.
Held up, and the count full.
He made one of the best defensive plays that we have seen this year. Ball was hit off Tony Clark, rolled into foul territory. He ran over, picked it up. The pitcher was covering first. He flipped it while he was falling to the ground without looking. The pitcher was there and made the grab.
Got a piece of that, still 3-2.
Funny, the 2 most underrated players in each league, Tony Clark, a first baseman, Jeff Bagwell, a first baseman.
Clark's a switch hitter. When I watch him from the left side, you know who he reminds me a little bit of, as long as we're talking about Tigers in this ballpark? Remember Jason Thompson? A bouncer to Baerga. And there are 2 men out.
Jason Thompson hit a few balls over that roof. Jason was first baseman, very slow of foot, but had a lot of power.
So Clark retired, 2 out, nobody on, and Bob Hamlin, who hit a 3-run homer, will be next.
We're talking about that Pennant Chase before that's seen here on Sports Channel. The guys, the women and the men from Phoenix Communication, terrific job putting that show together.
Hamlin hits it in the air to the deepest part of the yard. And Lance Johnson makes the play. That one went about 400 feet. But it's a long out in a 1-2-3 inning for Corey Lidle. So on the Modell scoreboard after 5, still 7-0 Tigers.
Well, folks, imitate Howie Rose and chill out this summer with the Dunkin' Donuts Coffee Colada. A thick and frosty new taste sensation just in time for summer. Try one today at participating Dunkin' Donuts shops throughout the tri-state area. Mix in a few donuts.
More than a few.
Oh, those Boston cream donuts.
What movie was it where Danny DeVito, the whole movie was centered around, maybe it was War of the Roses, around his love for donuts. I guess the whole movie wouldn't have been centered around that, but it was part of Danny's persona in that movie. Anyway, John Olerud takes a strike to start the 6th inning. Olerud's hit well in this ballpark during his Blue Jays days. The Mets have done nothing here over the last 2 nights. They've been outscored by the aggregate sum of 21-0. And the breaking ball, 0-2.
You know, when you're talking about John Olerud finishing 4th in the voting for first base in the National League, I mentioned personalities. If you have an effervescent and a colorful personality, you attract the fans' vote. Of course, you have to have credentials with the bat.
Line drive, base hit for Olerud. So on an 0-2 pitch, Olerud gets the 6th inning started.
When you were going out to Shea Stadium growing up, how was the voting in? Was it by the fans?
From 1970 on, so for a few years before that I was heading out to the park, it became the players' mandate to select the All-Stars.
Well, the Mets should have a representative like Todd Hundley on that All-Star team. Olerud should be on the team.
See, it also comes down when you look at the other starters to what positions are available, because every team's got to be represented. So the Mets have a few guys: Olerud, Matt Loughlin, the guy at the plate now, Todd Hundley, certainly Bobby Jones up until his last couple of starts.
Well, Matty out there waiting for Hundley to hit one into his lap.
1-0 on Todd. Matty doesn't have his mitt. You don't need it when the ball travels as far as it has to get into the upper deck. And Hundley elevates, but plenty of room in center field for Brian Hunter. 1 out in the 6th inning. Which have had men on in every inning except the second when they went 1-2-3.
But they were quiet runners. They got on base. And they didn't do anything when they were on base. And, of course, they've been overshadowed by the powerful Detroit Tigers.
One thing you have to like, too, about Brian Moeller, remember the Tigers gave him 3 runs in the 1st inning. He's worked pretty quickly. He hasn't been behind on the hitters. He's pitched with a lead, which pitchers sometimes seem to have to learn to do.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Thompson did it last night. Moeller tonight. And Moeller, he has the same type build as the Justin Thompson.
Once in a while, you'll see a pitcher, I know Buddy Bell has, with a big lead that still, they're deliberate and they fight themselves. Instead of just throwing it over the plate. Baerga hits it in the air to right field. Higginson has it for the 2nd out. And Matty Loughlin will have to sit down.
He misjudged it.
Somebody's coming your way, Matty. Maybe it's Carl Everett, who will follow Baerga to the plate. That is a gorgeous shot when you consider that this ballpark has been a part of the lexicon of baseball for the better part of an entire century.
But it's time to go.
Yeah, I mean, every park, I suppose, runs out of time. So we'll show you left field, too, if you get a chance, as Everett fouls it back. Now, if you can get a look at the left field pavilion here at Tiger Stadium, I know this is what caught me. In fact, I was sitting on the bench with Lance Johnson before the game. Just focus now on that area from the foul pole to the right, to the edge of that grandstand before you get into the center field bleachers or grandstand. You know what that looks like to me, although I've never been there? Ebbets Field. That's how it appears when I've seen Ebbets Field in pictures and on some of the games that have been replayed here on Sports Channel. That left field pavilion, that about looks like how the Ebbets Field left field pavilion looks.
You all right?
Oh, come on. That's not a stretch. No ball's too strong. I'm just talking about that pavilion. I don't mean anything else in the ballpark, but that structure. You don't think so?
I don't know. You know, I tell you, Ebbets Field is a place I never got a chance to see. Heard a lot about it. I heard it was a great hitter's park. Hitters were hitting downhill. Forget those pavilions.
Get me Ebbets Field on the phone. I mean, I'm being specific here. I know Carl Everett never saw it, but I'm just talking about the grandstand area there.
Well, I'm looking forward to the ballpark that they're going to build for the Mets. It's supposed to be similar to Ebbets Field.
That's the goal, with a retractable dome, natural grass. And Everett swings and misses, strike 3. So the Mets waste a leadoff single by Olerud. And in the middle of the 6th, 7-0 Detroit.
To you in part by your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealer.
That's the score as we head to the last of the 6th inning, and Matt Loughlin has found some friends in the upper deck.
Well, I'll tell you, I found the self-proclaimed trivia king of Detroit here, Joe Yashinsky. He's 13 years old. He tested my knowledge, and I went 1 for 3, to be honest with you. All right, we're going to test you guys' knowledge. All right, you ready, friend? Howie, here's the question. Joe, lay it on. That's Triple Crown question, baby.
All right. Who is the only Triple Crown winner ever to play for a losing team?
Fellas?
Not a bad question.
Your
We'll have to
silence
work on
speaks
that.
Let us think about that for a moment. It's a
Oh,
good
I had
question.
answered right away.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, you're a genius.
Well, no, I got it wrong.
What team Secretariat played for? In the air by Casanova, deep right center. Johnson chasing, and he makes the catch. Put a circle around that snow cone.
Are we ready for the answer, fellas?
So 1 out in the 6th inning. Lance Johnson had a lot of room out there in right center.
Lance Johnson tracks this ball down, almost dropping the ball, but he ran a long way. Nice play by Lance Johnson. Hit the big glove, and the ball almost popped out of the glove. We can take a guess at that Triple Crown winner.
Curtis Pride shoots one the same way. Deep right field. That's a gunner. 5 tonight, 11 in 2 games for the Tigers. It's 8-0.
And it's incredible where that ball hit. You don't think these players are bigger and stronger? 11 home runs in 2 games for the Tigers. And Curtis Pride hit a ball almost directly to center field off the facing of the upper deck.
Well, if you're thinking to yourself, hey, it's 8-0, don't think about taking the TV off or switching stations here. You might be in on history. Because as we mentioned before, the San Francisco Giants in 1961 and the New York Yankees in 1939 have the major league record for home runs over 2 consecutive games, 13. The Tigers are 2 away from that now. It's an obscure record, of course, but the way things are going, don't rule it out. 2-0 on Damian Easley.
Take a guess at the Triple Crown winner.
All right. Jimmy Fox, Joe Medwick, one of those guys?
How about Chuck Klein?
Oh, Fran, you got it.
Did I?
Chuck Klein is the right answer.
You got to be old to know that.
Easy.
Ducky, Medwick, and stuff like that. Right error, wrong guess. All right, here's another question. Guarantee you won't get. Joe, lay it on him.
All right, in 1906 to 1909, Honus Wagner won the batting title every year. Who ended his streak in 1910?
Larry Fine, who was a pitcher.
Close, but no
Hold on
cigar.
for a second.
Another second. Are you looking it up, boys?
No.
Show me that kid's report card. What's he know about 1909 at the age of, what, 10? How old did you say he is?
13. He's
13.
a genius in the making.
I have no idea.
Hold on, give us a second.
Smokey
Oh.
Joe Wood.
Not Smokey Joe Wood.
2-2 on Damian Easley with 1 out in the 6th. And Baerga gets to it. 2 gone.
Honus Wagner, National League.
So 2 out, nobody on, and Davy Cruz will be the batter for Detroit.
Fran, lay that one on me again.
Don't know.
You've rendered
All
France
right,
speechless.
let's get the answer from the trivia king of Detroit. Joe?
All right, the answer is Sherry McGee. Sherry McGee.
There you go, fellas. Tell you, this kid's tough.
Okay, what's the third one now?
All right, he's got another one. All right, one more.
All right, who's the only guy ever to hit a game-winning homer in Game 7 of the World Series?
This one, by the way, is the one I got,
Whoa,
fellas.
whoa, whoa, whoa.
Toronto, right?
A game-winning homer in Game 7.
Game
It's Bill
7.
Mazeroski. The other, of course, Joe Carter, was in a 6th
Was in the
game.
6th game.
And those are the only 2 home runs that have ever ended a World Series. But the answer is Bill Mazeroski.
Bill Mazeroski, absolutely. Joe, thank you very much.
All right, thanks.
Do we have any parting gifts for him? Bouncer foul by Davy Cruz. All right, Jeep Eagle game recap. Boy, the Mets have run out of gas here the last couple of nights.
Higginson's the story here in Detroit.
And that's a foul ball. Still 2 balls and 2 strikes on Davy Cruz. So Bobby Jones was hoping to turn it around tonight, but Buddy Bell's Tigers have gone wild again. Bobby Jones' last 2 starts now, he went a total of 8 2/3 innings. And Bobby Valentine well aware of the numbers. 20 hits and 17 runs. There's a guy who did plenty of damage last night and tonight.
Well, he's done an excellent job. And he's done it quietly. When he hits the home run, he doesn't want to show anybody up. He wants to get around the bases quietly, get back into the dugout.
The 2-2 to Cruz off the outside corner.
And the Tigers, as we mentioned earlier, are now out of last place in the Eastern Division of the American League.
They're only 6 games under 500. Nothing but air. Davy Cruz out on strikes. 2 strikeouts for Lytle. Tigers have hit 5 home runs tonight to build this lead.
His name was Guy Schmelman, and he was Box Guy.
Back then, I was the king. I was Box Guy. And the fans, they just loved me. But I was forced into retirement by Mittman. I hated that son of a...
Well, the Mets have 3 innings to recover from being 8 runs down, but you want to put it together over the last 2 games and a total of 15 innings. In 15 innings, the Mets have allowed 22 runs to the Detroit Tigers and have not scored yet.
Just one of those days. You believe in karma, right?
Just 2 of those days.
Yeah,
now.
2 of those days. You're a firm believer in karma.
Instant karma. Bernard Gilkey hits one down the right field line. And that's a foul ball as they have to scatter in the Mets bullpen.
Yeah, Mets have bad karma right now. That guy there almost broke his neck.
Guy pulling him up's going to have a bad back.
Are you saying he's a big fella?
Well, from that angle, that's a difficult trek to pull. But all smiles here at Tiger Stadium. At least those among the fans rooting for the Tigers have got more than their money's worth over the last couple of games. Gilkey batting in the 7th spot of the lineup tonight admits that he's been pressing.
I'll say, when you're hitting 205 and you're expected to hit around 300, you hit about 20 home runs and drive in about 90 or 100 runs, you're pressing.
1 and 2 on Gilkey.
Gilkey has 7 home runs, 35 RBIs. Although his disposition is the same.
That's the amazing thing about him. You know, there are a lot of ball players, and that's not to put them down. It's just a simple truth that a lot of ball players wouldn't really want to spend as much time as he has talking to the media and as comfortably as he has about what his problems have been. Tried to go up the middle with that one. The shortstop Cruz throws him out.
Of course, you can understand where when a player is struggling, you know, he's not going to be the Dale Carnegie of the clubhouse. And but Gilkey, I mean, he'll talk to you, and he's very positive. He'll tell you before game, I'm coming out of it tonight. I'm coming out of it.
Yeah, and I mean, not in a boastful way.
No.
I mean, this afternoon, around his locker, there were probably a crowd of about 10 reporters, and Bernard didn't mind it. He didn't shoo anybody away. He answered each question in an elaborate form, not terse one-word answers, and he let the interview run its natural course.
Toughest clubhouse. Now, you've been in this business a lot of years, and you've done a lot of things. Toughest clubhouse you've ever had to go into.
You were in it.
Yankee clubhouse?
Oh, those guys were lunatics.
They were.
Well, I'll tell you what, Reggie Jackson, in about I'm tempted to say 78, 79, 80, one of those years, Reggie Jackson's holding court in front of his locker. He'd been in the middle of another controversy. And there were about 20 reporters huddled around his locker. Somebody asked him a question, and Reggie gave a perfectly eloquent answer in Spanish. The only problem was the question was asked in English. Now, this continued for another 2 or 3 questions before anybody realized that Reggie wasn't going to answer anything. Husky shoots one out to right field, and Higginson's got it for the second out. But, I mean, that was Reggie. You never knew what you were going to get from him. And he lit people up for no reason.
And also, he was pretty easy to deal with compared to some other guys.
When he wanted to be. That was the problem with him. But, of course, when you look at this ballpark, Tiger Stadium, maybe the most famous home run ever struck in this ballpark was hit 26 years ago by Reginald Martinez Jackson. Look at the transformer on the light stanchion to the left. He hit it in the All-Star game, and I believe it was off of Doc Ellis. Yes. The Pittsburgh Pirates. That's a poke.
Yeah, he hit that ball a long way.
Down low to Luis Lopez, 1-0.
There were some other balls smoked that night. Harmon Killebrew hit one.
Johnny Bench hit one, I think,
Frank
the other
Robinson.
1-1.
Buddy Harrelson told me he was in that All-Star game representing the Mets, and he said that as he watched these guys hit in batting practice, he decided not to take BP.
Buddy was the starting shortstop. Luis Lopez, the Mets shortstop these days. But in 1971, in the All-Star game played in this yard, Buddy Harrelson was voted the National League starting shortstop. And the spring training play completed from Clark to Moeller. 6 in a row retired by Moeller. 7th inning stretch time here at Tiger Stadium. 8-0 Tigers.
New York. York Mets baseball on Sports Channel is brought to you in part by Discover Card, proud partner of the Smithsonian's 150th anniversary, and by GHI. We put the care back in health care.
Now some changes for the Mets as we go to the last of the 7th inning. Mets down 8 after losing 14-0 last night. Show you the changes in a moment. Just look at that shot for a second. Well, one brief shining moment. We'll get back to that in a moment because Matt Franco is the new third baseman. Eduardo Alfonso gets the rest of the night off. And Juan Acevedo becomes the Mets' third pitcher of the ball game, making his 6th appearance, all in relief. Acevedo last working on Saturday in Pittsburgh. But we showed you where Reggie Jackson hit the transformer here in the 1971 All-Star game, and we showed you the footage last night of a home run by Bobby Bonilla that hit the area around that light stanchion on the right.
If Bobby hit that home run in the All-Star game, they'd still be talking about it. But he hit it in a regular season game, so it's taken for granted. But Reggie did smoke that ball in the All-Star game, and people are still talking about it. Reggie's still talking about it.
The number of Hall of Famers who played in that game. 71 All-Star game. What was the National League outfield? Aaron Ruth and Clemente. Aaron Mays and Clemente. Oh, boy. It's been a long couple of nights here. And Brian Hunter makes it a little bit longer for the Mets.
He's got Ruth in the way. I like it.
Well, that's because you said McGuire was better than him. I still haven't gotten over that.
Well, let's Curtis Pride just hit a ball off that facing out there in center field.
Right.
Home run hitters today are bigger and they're stronger. Who's the biggest and the strongest of them all?
Mark McGuire.
I rest my case, as Perry Mason said.
Let him hit 715 or 756 to surpass Ruth.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Aaron.
That's longevity.
Now you're going to tell me longevity's overrated.
Oh, no, that's important.
Well, here's Higginson, and he's probably been the biggest of many stories for the Tigers during this first 2 games of the series. Higginson was on the DL earlier this year. Had a trunk problem. Kind of tough to travel when you have a trunk problem. And how about this injury that Higginson had last year? It was written in the Tiger Media Guide exactly this way. He missed 3 weeks last season with a torn right plantar fascia, F-A-S-C-I-A. A plantar fascia. Did they have those when you played?
No, they just started those things.
Evolution. The human body did not have plantar fascias until about 1986.
How about years ago when a guy's arm, he couldn't throw anymore? Instead of a rotator cuff, they said, well, his arm went dead.
Yeah.
Today, it's the rotator cuff.
Well, the plantar fascia is the arch area of the foot. That's what he was bothered by last year. That one almost bothered the first base coach, Jerry White. At least it would have if it made contact.
You can't there's Jerry White. You can't de-emphasize that the problems with the foot. Joe DiMaggio's career, I believe, ended because of a heel problem.
Yeah, right. Bone spurs in the heel, I think. Two and two to Higginson. Nobody out. 8-0 Detroit. And Higginson pops the ball up. Well, the Mets kept him in the yard most of the night, but not all of it. 1 man out. Hunter will go back to first.
Okay, it's 8-0. We are in the 7th inning. Do you allow Hunter to steal second base?
I think you're in the same territory we were talking about last night. I think it was 10-0.
Yeah, it was 10-0 last night. When do you get into that territory?
Usually whenever you ask. 8-0. You know, the Tigers have had their way with the Mets. I think it could be construed as rubbing some salt in the wound of the Mets if Hunter were to take off here trying to steal a base. I wouldn't, I would take it that way. If I were a Met player or manager or a coach, I would be annoyed if Brian Hunter tried to steal second base now.
What if you were Brian Hunter, you were making your living stealing bases, and you were leading the league in stolen bases?
Got to pick your spots. It's still a team game. And if, do you want to rile an opponent that you have handled so well over the first 2 games? I mean, I don't know what the cause and effect necessarily is, but if you were on a team where a guy like Hunter decided to run 8 runs ahead after winning 14-0 the night before, would it make you want to go out and beat him a little bit more the next day?
I think you get upset momentarily. then you get over it. You might want to drill a hitter or two.
Yeah, well, now you're getting into
See this now? This is where he makes his living.
I know.
You're taking money out of his pocket. He uses that money to support his family.
Well, let's not put him on the breadline yet. A liner to Lopez. They'll try and double Hunter off, and they do. So the stolen base conversation will cease there. A line drive double play ends the 7th. No runs a hit, nobody left. And at the end of 7, 8-0 Tigers.
Well, a reminder, this copyrighted telecast is authorized under television rights granted by the New York Mets solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the New York Mets and Sports Channel is prohibited.
Well, that shot doesn't show you everything about the attendance tonight. Last night they had 15,007 here, and I swear looking at that picture and having looked around the ballpark a little bit, I said to Fran before, looks like they got a nicer crowd tonight than they did last night. About 150 less people here. 14,849. So that fella doesn't have a whole lot of company, but that's what happens when you ask for the euchre seats, please.
They used to fill this place up on a regular basis.
1-1 to Lance Johnson. Lance likes the old ballparks. We were talking about it before the game. Not only this place, but the old Comiskey Park where he played with the White Sox. A little looper to left, caught by Pride.
Well, the new ballparks that they're building are old ballparks. Let's face it, this place has to go. Fenway Park has to go. Shea Stadium has to go. There are a number of ballparks that have to be replaced. Pittsburgh's going to try and replace their ballpark.
Well,
Montreal Expos need, look at that. Somebody's got to get a paintbrush.
Not if they're going to start raising the taxes to build a new place.
Yeah, well, they're going to build a new place.
Tigers hope to be in there at about the year 2000.
I mean, they're treasures, these ballparks, but you can build nice new ballparks that resemble the old ballparks.
Matt Franco up for his first at-bat after replacing Edgardo Alfonso at third base.
Look what happened in Cleveland. Look what happened in Baltimore with new ballparks.
Matt's uncle, Kurt Russell, was at the ballpark last night, and he's here tonight, too. Two balls, no strikes on Matt Franco.
Kurt was in the booth with us in Houston. Did a nice job. Good ball player, playing in Texas League. I believe he said he was in the top 10 in hitting when he got hurt.
Blew out his rotator cuff. Up the middle and off of Moeller, a base hit. So Matt Franco picks up a hit. And the Mets now with 6 hits off of Moeller.
Now when a pitcher throws a ball, he's trained to be ready if the ball comes back to the mound. Usually they're ready, but they're anxious. Look at Moeller. Looks like you hit with a punch. The line drive is the thing that really scares the pitcher. Even the ball that's not hit hard, because sometimes they misjudge the line drive that's not hit hard.
Now Moeller will go back to work now to John Olerud, who has 1 out of 3. 8-0 Tigers. Short lead for Franco. And a double play possibility. Bobbled by Fryman. And he can't get anybody.
This is the first time the Mets seem to have something going. They caught a break right there. Franco got a hit. Olerud gets on an error. It was the in-between hop, the most difficult play for the infielder as far as the ball being hit to him.
So the Mets with 2 on and 1 out, and Todd Hundley will look towards that right field porch again. Well, Travis Fryman making the error at third base. He's also played shortstop with the Tigers. And now Hundley takes a fastball for a strike. 6th error of the year for Fryman, and now Todd trying to get straightened out at the plate. Just 2 for his 15 at-bats on this road trip. And that's off the outside corner, an off-speed pitch, 1-1.
We've seen Todd take pitches like that and jerk them into right field.
You think that left field pavilion looks something like Ebbets Field? Huh?
You know, not to say it again. I'm starting to believe it.
I mean, you gotta give me a little bit of credit.
I like that.
And the 1-1 to Hundley rides high.
Here's a guy that's got to jerk this ball. If he can hit the ball in the seats, he can change the atmosphere of this ball game right now.
Mets came back from a 5-run deficit to win in Pittsburgh on Sunday. But they have been way behind the Tigers throughout this 2-game series, which will conclude tomorrow with a 3rd game. So I guess that'd make it a 3-game series, wouldn't it? 3 balls, 1 strike on Hundley.
Carlos Baerga on deck.
Brian Moeller has 1 complete game this year.
Yeah,
that was a shutout against the Angels in Anaheim.
He looks like he's running out of gas. He's taking too much time on the mound. He was working rapidly. He's moving around like he's running out of gas.
We're also running out of clear sky. I believe it's starting to rain here in Detroit. To deep to right, down the line, but foul. Out a little bit out in front.
Well, Muller with the fastball, and that's what Todd Hundley does to the fastball. Right there, he did get the head of the bat. Look at too far in front when he made contact.
Bobby Jones making a cameo appearance. Bobby lasted the first 4 innings. Just wanted to remind you that Bobby was the starting pitcher tonight. Gave up 9 hits and 7 runs in those first 4 innings. Corey Lytle went the next 2, and Buddy Bell's Tigers have been perfect against the Mets through these first 2 games. 3-2 to Hundley with 1 out. Runners don't go, and another hard foul ball.
Well, Hundley, you struggle with that off-speed pitch tonight. We'll see if Mulder comes back. It's 3-2. Would he throw a straight change 3-2 with a 8-run lead?
Why not?
I would. This guy's a good fastball hitter.
Doug Brocail getting ready in the bullpen. Last night, Justin Thompson was relieved in the 9th inning by Jose Bautista. Here's the payoff pitch to Hundley, and look out. Fouled straight back just below us.
Howie's gone. There he is.
Come on. Straighten it out. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. The Tigers leading 8-0. And that's hit hard towards the gap. It drops in for a base hit. Around third is Franco. He scores. Being held at third is Olerud, and standing at second with a double is Hundley. The Mets are on the board for the first time in this series. It's now 8-1 Detroit. So Todd Hundley picks up his 51st run batted in.
And he hits his ball hard in the gap in right center field. Good swing by Todd Hundley. Just meeting the ball and putting the ball in play. And Buddy Bell is coming out of the Tiger dugout. They're going to replace Moeller. Moeller has been moping around on the mound this inning. It looked like he's been running out of gas, but he's pitched a good ball game. It's hot and humid here.
And as we mentioned, it started to rain also. So Buddy Bell has called for Doug Brocail, and that's Brocail who is answering the call to the bullpen, brought to you by Omnipoint. It comes with 1 out here in the 8th inning, and the Tigers leading 8-1. Well, the Mets are finally on the board here at Tiger Stadium. Their first ever run scored in this ballpark. But they still have a long way to go, and they'll try and get closer against Doug Brocail. This 29-year-old, actually now a 30-year-old veteran out of Clearfield, Pennsylvania, has been around. Broke in with the San Diego Padres in '92, went to the Astros, and then was picked up by the Tigers as part of that big off-season deal with Houston. So Baerga with a hard-hit ground ball. It'll score a run as Olerud comes across. Baerga retired, and it's now 8-2 Detroit.
No, we talked about the young shortstop with the Tigers. Davy Cruz. And as you watch Baerga go back into the dugout, Buddy Bell was saying one of the things he likes about Cruz is the ball that's hit right at him in a crucial spot. He always makes the play.
Frank Cashin used to call that type of a player a two-out shortstop.
Well put.
Now Carl Everett with two out, and here we go again.
You got to be able to count on that middle infielder, especially the shortstop. When that ball is hit at him late in the ball game with the game on the line, he makes that play every time.
That's Hundley on second with two out, and it's 0-2 on Everett.
Everett a little bit behind on this fastball.
Carl 0 for 6 now in this series. Goes the other way, down the line, a fair ball. Hundley will score easily. Everett on his way to second. The ball picked up by Pride. Everett with a double, and now it's an 8-3 Detroit lead.
It's funny, when you have a rally and you have to rally and score a lot of runs, you're better off if you can do it where you double here, a single there, you keep runners on the bases. A home run, I know this sounds insane, a home run sometimes stops a rally. Now you got to start all over again, getting guys on bases. Here's this ball hit down the left field line. Line drive off the bat of Carl Everett. And Hundley scored easily. Now Everett on second base.
Ball 1 to Gilkey. Well, let me ask you one of those psychology type questions.
You're dealing with the right guy.
Let's say the comeback attempt here goes no further, and the final score is where it is right now at 8-3. Do the Mets gain anything by having scored a few runs late in terms of their demeanor tomorrow? Does that mean anything?
Oh, sure. And especially if the Yankees beat the Braves again. That's important. So you don't lose ground in games like this.
Hard hit by Gilkey, a base hit to left field. Around third is Everett. Pride comes up throwing, but it's cut off. Everett scores, RBI single for Gilkey. It's now 8-4 Detroit.
I'll tell you what would really help the Mets' attitude if they ever came back and won this ball game. But again, you get back to the point I just made about that home run. If you hit the home run with a couple-minute board, now you get 3 runs, and it kind of puts a halt to the rally. Or you keep putting runners on the bases, you keep putting men in motion, you pick up a run here, another run. You can continue with the rally.
So Brocails retired a batter, giving up a couple of hits. And now with 2 out, it's Butch Husky who's 0 for 3.
Oh.
He was trying to bring the Mets to within 2, which is very much within his bag of tricks. Terry Clark making sure everything's in one piece. He's the home plate ump. Terry Kraft, excuse me.
This is what you don't want to happen if you're an umpire. Boom. You don't want it to get underneath that mask where it gets a piece of the chin.
On the outside corner, 0-2 now to Husky.
If you're in a dugout, you hear, let's keep this rally going by first and thirding them for about a half hour.
The vendors love it. And Husky wants time. Might sell an extra hot dog. Calling for time. Somebody might have been. There you go.
Somebody call me.
8-4 Detroit. Mets have put all 4 of their runs on the board here in the 8th inning. And the 0-2 to Husky, down and away. That's the left-hander Mike Myers. 43 appearances for Myers this year, 3rd most in the majors, most in the American League. Husky goes down on strike. So the side retired. Mets score 4, though, and in the middle of the 8th here in Detroit, they cut the Tiger lead in half.
Join us Sunday, July 6th, when the Mets pay tribute to Negro League Baseball. All fans on hand for the Mets-Marlins game will receive a Kansas City Monarchs replica cap. Call 718-507-TIXX and get your Mets.
Boring. Well, it's coming down hard, as you see. The Tigers leading by 4 as we go to the last of the 8th inning. Takashi Kashiwada has come on to do the pitching. And that's part of the story right now. Rained like this for about 15 minutes this afternoon, and this may be a passing shower, but it's enough to stop the game for the time being. Good rain for a while. It might be over pretty quickly. But one thing we know for sure is we have a rain delay. So at 9:13 p.m. this game is halted. It's an official game. If it continues to rain and they can't resume, the Tigers will have a win.
So, Howie, go to your stat book and tell me what city in the major leagues has had the most rain delays.
I don't know that that's in any book. What's coming into this booth, though, is the wet stuff.
You know where the tarp, the first field ever to use a tarp? Forbes Field in Pittsburgh, yeah. See that? I told you.
Did they have one of those electronic tarps, too, before it was over? I thought they did before they tore Forbes Field down.
Oh, I don't know about the electronic tarp, but this was long before electricity came into being.
In other words, Benjamin Franklin owned the ball club at the time.
But we got a nice rain delay here in Detroit. The Mets picking up some momentum, scoring 4 runs in the top of the 8th inning.
And Takashi Kashiwada was all set to face Tony Clark, Bob Hamlin, and Raul Casanova.
You know how you were talking about balls hit over that right field roof here in Tiger Stadium, a lot more over the right field roof than the left field roof. But Al Kaline was talking to me about a ball Harmon Killebrew hit. Al did the game last night for the Tigers. He said the killer hit one over the roof. He hit a shot off a guy named Bill Fisher. And there's a story to it. Bill Fisher, quite a sense of humor. And in baseball, the greatest insult, as you well know, if a guy gives up a home run, if somebody says to him after the game, how did you hold that ball? You know, like, it was a big deal. So Bill Fisher on a Saturday afternoon gave up 2 home runs to Harmon Killebrew. One over the roof.
Isn't Fisher the guy who gave up one of Mantle's shots off the facade?
Yes. And so Jim Bunning, who could be considered a very intense individual, struck Bill Fisher with some humor by saying to Bill Fisher, how did you hold those balls that you threw to Killebrew? So, of course, Bill Fisher wasn't happy hearing that. The following day, they're on the same team, and Jim Bunning gives off a mammoth blast to Harmon Killebrew. Well, Bill Fisher didn't have the heart, maybe probably didn't have the guts after the game to ask him, because Jim Bunning was so intense. He waits for that night. And he's at some place enjoying himself, having a cocktail, and decides to give Jim Bunning a call. Bunning gets on the phone. He says, how did you hold that ball today? I guess Bunning wanted to kill him.
Well, Jim Bunning has learned to say the right things over the years, at least politically.
Yeah, doing a nice job in Washington as a Republican representative from the state of Kentucky.
Here in Michigan, we have a rain delay. And we'll be back with more in a moment. Well, Darryl, now that you've got a clean lens, we can play baseball again. So Takashi Kashiwada out to the mound warming up. And these fans, no doubt, have enjoyed the 11 home runs by the Tigers over the last 2 games. 2 behind the all-time record. Giants in 61, the Yankees in 39. Hit 13 over 2 games. And Takashi Kashiwada comes on in relief of Juan Acevedo to begin the 8th inning. Kashiwada scheduled to face Tony Clark, Bob Hamlin, and Raul Casanova. Rain delay started at 9:13. That's 22 minutes ago.
This considered the dog days of summer?
Yeah, July 1st.
July 1st?
Oh, my, you gotta put up with a little more heat than that.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of dog are you, Amstel?
Oh, Amstel can do it all.
Looking for the shade and the cool weather in July?
And a good swim. How about the Mets by the month? Look at Baerga. Everett.
I'm kind of like one of those I can't talk anymore. One of those multiplication tables that they teach you in grade school.
Oh, boy. There's a lot of pressure to learn that.
This, by the way, is the absolute halfway point of the season. The Mets opened in San Diego 3 months ago today, April the 1st. And as today is July the 1st, the Mets are playing their 81st game. the halfway point of the schedule. So if you subscribe to that, what would these guys do at this pace for an entire season? Just multiply all the numbers by 2. For example, coming into the game, Todd Hundley with 19 homers and 50 RBIs. He's driven in a run tonight. So after 81 games, double it up. And at this pace, Hundley will hit 38 homers, drive in 102 runs now. Similar numbers to what he put up a year ago.
I'm a believer in those numbers. I'll tell you right now, Hundley had a magnificent year last year, and he's starting to hammer the ball again. He can hit himself another 40 home runs.
Well, back in business here. After a rain delay of 23 minutes, Takashi Kashiwada goes to work against Tony Clark. He turns around and bats from the right side. And pops the first pitch up. John Olerud has room. 1 pitch, 1 out. So as we told you, a 23-minute rain delay. The official version here of the press box. And Ray Ordonez had to get out of the way. I thought it was coming down there, he's saying, and had to change course, right? So I had to get out of John's way, and he did.
Well, Tony Clark is the guy you want to keep off the bases, and the Mets have done a decent job against Tony Clark. They just haven't been able to hold everybody else down, especially a guy like Bob Hamlin.
3-run home run for Hamlin tonight. He fouls the first pitch off from Kashiwada. Hamlin coming in had been batting .356 over his last 31 games. Well, that's, roughly a fifth of the season, a significant enough sample. And when you factor in that he's now batting at .328, you realize what a roller coaster ride he's had in his brief major league career. Rookie of the year in '94, hit under 200 the next year, spent time in the minor leagues, and the Royals released him after last season. Tigers signed him to a minor league contract. And here he is, batting 5th in their lineup, and he's been productive. 0-2 to Hamlin. And that's down and away. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Well, you see Michael Jordan do with the basketball. Now watch Hamlin. Look out. Oh, imagine biting that thing off.
Way out in front. Hamlin out on strikes. 2 men away. Well, he was licking his chops to get at Kashiwada, but Kashiwada won the battle.
Oh, Hamlin's sitting there in that heater, and Kashiwada says, I'm going to throw you a breaking ball. That tongue was out, but now it's back in the mouth, and he goes back to the dugout. In Japan...
I'll tell you, that's detailed play-by-play
yes,
there.
sir. In Japan, for years, they were known as a league of breaking ball pitchers. Nobody had a real good fastball.
Raul Casanova takes a strike at the knees.
That has changed, though. They have picked up some velocity on their fastballs. But they overtrain, I'm told, in Japan. Bobby Valentine was one of the guys who said they overtrain.
Casanova hits it in the air to left field. Gilkey calls off Johnson. And Kashiwada delivers a 1-2-3 inning after a 23-minute rain delay. Added up, last licks for the Mets.
Well, here we are at the home stretch, brought to you by New York Thoroughbred Racing at Belmont Park. What a ride.
Well, the Tigers scored the first 22 runs of this series. The Mets have scored the last 4, and they're still down 4 going to the 9th.
And Derek Wallace did 5 minutes of batting practice yesterday. Expects to be back within 2 months.
Had the aneurysm, somewhat similar to what David Cone went through last year. There's Mr. Wallace.
Also talking to Ray Ordonez before the ball game. He's optimistic concerning his return. But it's just amazing how the Mets really didn't miss a beat with Luis Lopez replacing 2 other shortstops.
And Mike Myers. Versatile. He enjoyed his work in Wayne's World and Austin Powers. And now he throws ball 1 to Luis Lopez. Well, all right, that's a different Mike Myers. This one came from the Florida organization. Only pitched in 2 games for the Marlins. Been with the Tigers now for 3 years. This is 3rd. And he has been the workhorse in the American League this year. And as we mentioned before, Mike Myers has pitched a total of 44 times, counting this one. Most in the American League, 3rd highest in the majors. It's on the inside corner, 2-1. It's not a save situation for Myers. Tigers use Todd Jones to pass for their closer. And a looper to right field, and Lopez has 2 hits tonight. He's on his way to second. Higginson's throw way off line, and Lopez has a leadoff double.
Keep in mind, the Mets scored 4 runs in the top of the 8th inning. They scored the first run of this series in the top of the 8th, but it's now an 8-4 ball game with a leadoff man on second base here in the top of the 9th inning. Luis Lopez goes out and goes the other way with the pitch that was running in on him and picks up a double.
So Lopez in scoring position, nobody out. Top of the Mets batting order, and Lance Johnson. Buddy Bell hoping his Tigers can pick up their 37th win of the year and pull to within 5 of the 500 mark. Off speed outside. 1-0 to Johnson. Travis Fryman, the Pirates? That was over the weekend. The Tigers' third baseman coming in a couple of steps towards the grass at third. Oh, Woody Fryman played for the Pirates. And that's upstairs. 2-0 to Johnson. Jason Harkey is out on deck. Matt Franco was the next scheduled hitter as Rick Adair, the pitching coach, comes out to chat with Myers. But with a left-hander, Myers in the game. Bobby Valentine wanting to get a right-handed bat up next in Franco's spot. Here's Jason Harkey. Harkey's made quite a contribution to the Mets this year in the brief time that he's been here since coming up. Harkey with 6 hits and 15 at-bats. Game-winning hit against the Pirates. Another big hit in the Braves series. Actually, that was in the Pirates series, too. He had a big hit. And right now, it's 2-0 on Lance Johnson. Nobody out in the 9th, 8-4 Detroit. Looked like he was taking all the way. It's 2-1. That's down 4 in need of base runners. And there's Todd Jones. On the outside corner. So Rick Adair, the pitching coach, went to the mound and said to Mike Myers, throw 2 strikes here to Johnson. And that's exactly what he's done.
Pretty good pitch right there. He threw that ball right on the outside corner.
Went inside there. Now the count is full.
This is a huge pitch right now for the Tigers. Even though they have a 4-run lead, Myers cannot lose Johnson and walk him.
It'll be a payoff pitch to Johnson. And a chopper to short. Davy Cruz takes care of Johnson. 1 out. Lopez crosses to third.
Well, Myers, that's the biggest pitch he's thrown so far. Throwing a strike to Lance Johnson. He made him hit the ball, put the ball in play, hit it right at Cruz at shortstop.
So Johnson retired. He has an 0 for 5 night, and Jason Harkey will be the batter for Matt Franco.
Watching Bobby Valentine play Harkey and Franco last year, you had a feeling both would end up in the major leagues this year.
Bobby had them last year, both of them at Norfolk.
Bobby standing next to Bruce Benedict.
And a strike to Harkey, 0-1. Dave Malicki and Willie Blair, the pitchers tomorrow for the series finale. We'll have it for you right here on Sports Channel. Pre-game show at 12:30. First pitch about 1:05. Lopez, the runner with 1 out. And the count evens, 1-1. What the Tiger pitchers have done this year, as opposed to a year ago, has been remarkable. They've shaved 2 full earned runs per game off of their ERA. 2-1 now to Harkey.
Well, that's something that you can show. We were talking about management, upper management, and you can show them something like that and ask them to be patient through this rebuilding. And they've done a nice job in a short period of time after really a tough season last year for the Tigers.
On the outside corner, 2-2. Last year, the Tiger staff ERA was 6.38. After the shutout last night before play tonight, it was exactly 2 runs fewer than that. Plus, they've played very well defensively. Fewest errors in the majors, best fielding percentage in the American League. And Hartke goes down on strike. So the Mets down to their last out. John Olerud will be the batter.
Take a look at our Modell's replay. Jason Hartke against Mike Myers, and Myers throwing a nasty pitch. Looked like it could have been a little bit off the plate, but too close to take.
Olerud 1 out of 4. And the off-speed pitch for a ball. John singled in the 6th, reached on an error, and scored in the 8th inning. John came into the game 9th in the National League in hitting, 10th in the league in RBIs. John with 58 runs batted in. Go along with 13 home runs. But the Mets down to their last out here. 1 ball, no strikes, 2 out. And the breaking ball for a strike, 1-1. Olerud's Blue Jay teammates lost the Battle of Canada today to the Expos 2-1. Entire Met locker room was watching that one before the game.
Well, June was flirting with a no-hitter into the 7th inning.
And a liner to left, soft line drive, base hit for Olerud. RBI number 59 for John. It's an 8-5 ball game.
And once again, you go back to this inning when Lance Johnson had a 3-2 count and Myers had to throw a strike. Well, Buddy Bell now coming out. He's going to the bullpen again. He's bringing in a right-hander to face Todd Hundley.
So Todd Jones will try and nail it down for the Tigers.
You surprised he's bringing in a right-hander to face Todd Hundley?
Well, he's what they have that passes for a closer. And I guess Buddy Bell not as much worried lefty-righty here as he is getting the ball game closed out. It'll be a save situation for Todd Jones. Well, it's a save situation because Todd Jones enters the game with the tying run on deck. Todd Hundley will be at the plate to face Jones. The Mets down by 3 now, 8-5. The on-deck batter Baerga represents the tying run. Inside to Hundley. Todd 1 for 6 with a couple of walks in his career against Todd Jones. He'd also been with the Houston Astros.
The way Buddy Bell jumped out of that dugout and made the move for the right-hander, he was disappointed in Myers.
Line drive, base hit for Hundley. The Mets will bring the tying run to the plate. Olerud cruises to third. Hundley holds on at first, and so Carlos Baerga will represent the tying run at home plate.
Buddy Bell went out and moved that left-hander so fast he was upset after Myers gave up a base hit to Olerud, brought in the right-hander to face this guy. And Hundley swings the bat a lot better from the left side, statistically, and he picked up a base hit the ball hard in the right field.
Now, if you just joined us, the Mets trailed 8-0 going to the last of the 8th. They scored 4 in the 8th. They've added 1 here in the 9th, and Baerga represents the tying run.
Buddy Bell knows Baerga. He was a coach in Cleveland when Baerga played there. Jones has to throw strikes.
On the left side, Carlos' strength as well. 0-1. Baerga just 2 out of 14 on this road trip, but he can put a big smile on everybody's face connected with the Mets if he could find those right field seats. Time called.
Time was called, I believe, by Raul Casanova, the catcher. Maybe uncomfortable with what he just called.
No balls, 1 strike, 2 outs. 8-5 Detroit. And again, time called.
Time was called by Casanova again. I guess maybe because Jones was shaking his head. He's going out to talk about those signs. Jones, you know, when a hitter is batting, you got to be careful as a catcher, because when you give location on that fastball and they shake their head yes on the pitch and then they shake their head yes or no on location, rarely does a catcher call for location on a breaking ball, so it's easy to guess the pitch. It seemed to concern Casanova, so he called timeout twice. That's unusual when you see a catcher calling timeout to go out and talk about the signs. See, Jones knows what's coming now, or what he has to throw.
The 0-1 to Baerga fouled off, and now the Tigers are a strike away from closing it out.
Funny, you would question that pitch that Baerga just swung it. The ball was down and out of strike zone, but left-handers have been known to go down and hit that ball out of the strike zone hard.
Jones has only allowed 2 home runs this year, but one of them was that bomb that not Carlos Baerga, but Bobby Bonilla hit that we showed you last night, almost in Reggie Jackson's neighborhood there on the right field roof. So Jones trying to close it out. And the 0-2 to Baerga in the dirt.
What a catch. That was a fastball that was bounced up to the plate, and Casanova with those soft hands. Watch him catch this thing. He's saying, boy, I hope I catch it, because it's going to hit some delicate part of my body if I don't.
Well, with that hockey apparatus, he's well protected. Settle down. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 out. And the pitch. Hit to left field. Base hit for Baerga. Olerud scores. Hundley stops at second. It's 8-6. The tying runs are on base, and Carl Everett represents the go-ahead run at home plate.
Well, Baerga fighting it off, fighting the fastball off, picking up a base hit. And a big hit it could be. Jones throwing the heater, and Baerga hitting the ball up towards the hands, lofting the ball into left field. The Mets pick up a run, as Howie mentioned, 8-6. And once again, another look at Baerga's base hit. So Baerga's reaction at first base, but he's off first base right now. Sean Gilbert is out there to run for Baerga.
That's the tying run, represented by Sean Gilbert. Better speed than Hundley for sure. And then Baerga, pardon me, Hundley on second. And the pitch taken by Everett, ball 1. Eight to 6. The Mets did trail 8-0 at one point. Hundley at second, Gilbert at first. 2 men out. 2 balls, no strikes.
And Jones has to come in with that fastball, facing Everett, a good fastball hitter. Everett has excited the fans in New York a few times this year with the long ball.
And the 2-0. Outside ball 3. And remember, if Everett should walk, all it would take to tie this game up potentially would be a base hit. Never mind the long ball.
3-0 on Carl Everett. He will not get a better pitch to hit. So Bobby Valentine has to make a decision. Bernard Gilkey on deck. You see Gilbert on first, Hundley on second.
It better be a beach ball if Everett's going to swing. And the 3-0. Upstairs, ball 4. The bases are loaded.
I feel like I'm sitting at Shea Stadium with Howie Rose about 25 years ago, and he says it better be a beach ball.
Well, he pops up a 3-0 pitch there.
You were a tough fan.
Eddie Coleman would have to deal with all those irate fans on the air after the game.
Big spot for Bernard Gilkey with the bases loaded.
So it's Hundley at third. Gilbert, the pinch runner, at second. Everett at first. 8-6 Detroit, and here's Gilkey. 0-1.
And you can imagine the confidence Gilkey has right now. Very little with those stats. 207, 7 home runs, and 36 RBIs. In fact, Todd Hundley was walked 3 times to get to Gilkey in Pittsburgh.
Remember, the Mets trailed 8-0 going to the 8th inning. They scored 4, then they've added 2 here. Strike 2. And again, Jones 1 pitch away. The 0-2 to Gilkey. Downstairs. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Jones came on, gave up a base hit to Hundley, a base hit to Baerga. He walked Everett. Buddy Bell's stomach jumping around a bit. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 out. Bases loaded, and the pitch. Off speed outside. Jones wanted it, so did the crowd.
So did Buddy Bell. Buddy's yelling at the home plate umpire in his ball game after, I don't know, the ball looked like it was off the plate a little bit.
2-2 to Gilkey with 2 out. And the pitch. Upstairs, ball 3.
Well, we talked about Mike Myers' big pitch to Lance Johnson. None bigger than the one that's going to be thrown now because Butch Husky on deck. Home plate umpire Terry Kraft calling the balls and strikes.
So an automatic start for the base runners. Any kind of hit in this game will be tied up. And they'll do it again.
Gilbert with a great jump off second base.
A base hit could tie it, and anything in the gap could put the Mets in front. He's 0 for 12 against Jones, and he stays alive.
He's getting pitches that Gilkey usually hammers. When Gilkey's swinging the bat well, he's hammering that pitch right there. Ball out over the plate.
And Bernard has never had a hit against Todd Jones.
Problem with struggling is you're so tense at the plate. You're fouled up mentally and physically, more so mentally. He's been missing a lot of pitches that he usually handles.
And I'm sure Buddy Bell was not thinking this far ahead that Gilkey's 0 for 12 when he brought Jones in 4 batters ago with 2 out. Here's the payoff pitch. Popped it up to the right side. It should end the ball game. Higginson calls, and the Tigers hold on. So Buddy Bell can exhale now. Or is he in a catatonic state?
He's not happy with his relief pitching so far. They struggled in this ball game. And now he's thinking about tomorrow's game, but it was another victory for the Tigers. Jones coming in, getting the job done. Bernard Gilkey had a couple balls that he usually really hammers. And he missed them, fouled them back, and then eventually popped the ball up to right field.
So the Tigers built an 8-0 lead. The Mets woke up late, and as it turned out, too late, because they put up 4 in the 8th and 2 in the 9th to fall a couple short. Todd Jones made it a lot more difficult than Buddy Bell had in mind. Jones registers the save, and this is how it ended with Bernard Gilkey at the plate.
Now it's his fastball out over the plate. Oh, it's in his wheelhouse, and Gilkey just tardy with his swing. And Gilkey's reaction, he knows this is just a can of corn. And Jones very happy. But Gilkey usually drives that ball. It was a ball that he could handle.
So the Tigers have won the first 2 of this 3-game series. We'll start wrapping it up in a moment.
The Tigers hold on and beat the Mets in Game 2 of this 3-game series. The final score 8-6 as the Mets threatened in there half of the 9th inning, but in the end Bernard Gilkey pops out with the bases loaded, and the Tigers go on to the victory. Once again, home run power, the story for Detroit, as they have 5 homers tonight against Mets pitching, one of them coming off the bat of designated hitter Bob Hamlin, who joins us here on the post-game show. And Bob, the Tigers seem to enjoy feasting on Mets pitching.
Well, it's going pretty good. We hit the long ball the last couple games, scored a bunch of runs, and, you know, it was kind of hold our breath there at the end, almost came back. But, you know, we've been swinging the bats real good the last few games, and for us the last couple of weeks. So we've been swinging the bats good.
We're going to take a look at your home run. It comes in the 4th, check that, the 3rd inning, a 2-out shot, a 3-run homer off of Bobby Jones. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, you know, I think he was staying away all time. Yesterday they were staying away, and he was staying away my first at-bat, and that ball kind of got the middle of the plate. So I don't think he got it right where he wanted to. Got too much of the plate, and I was able to get it out of here.
You got it where you wanted to. Well out into right field. A couple of things we've been talking about on the broadcast over the last 2 days. First, your approach at the plate. You keep the hands loose as the pitch is coming in, and then you tighten up. Tell us a little bit about why.
Well, I try to keep it loose because somebody told me if you stay loose, you'll be quicker, and if you get tense, it'll slow you down. So I try to keep them loose, and then when I'm getting ready to make contact, stiffen them up a little bit and bring them through the zone. But mainly just to stay loose to keep them quick.
All right, Bob, we appreciate you spending time with us. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Bob Hamlin with the big home run tonight. The Tigers go on to the victory. Our post-game interview brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. More from Tiger Stadium when we come back.
New York Mets baseball on Sports Channel has been brought to you by your Tri-State GMC dealers. By Nobody Beats the Wiz. For state-of-the-art home electronics, computers, cameras, music, movies, and more, nobody beats the Wiz. By the Coors Light wide-mouth cam. Tap the Rockies with a smoother pour. And by your New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut Nissan dealers, who remind you that life is a journey. Enjoy the ride.
All you have to do is look at the line score there as we get started on the Sports Authority Game Time, the post-game edition, to let you know this was really two different games. The one that went the first 7 innings when the Tigers had their 8-0 lead, and then the Mets' comeback attempt, which they almost pulled off all the way over the last 2 innings, but too much Detroit power. 5 more home runs.
Well, the Tigers really hammering the baseball here at Tiger Stadium, and we talked about it early in the game. Even last night, everything looked like it was in a positive vein for the Tigers and a negative vein for the Mets. The Mets came back in this ball game, but it looked like they teased the fans as Gilkey missed a pitch he ordinarily should handle, and he popped the ball up to right field. So now the Mets have to prepare for the game tomorrow afternoon.
And our Nissan star of the game had to probably sweat a whole lot more than he figured on, but Brian Moeller, who worked the first 7 1/3 innings for Detroit and gave up 3 runs, wound up picking up his 6th win of the year. Matt Loughlin takes over after this.
Welcome back to a humid Detroit and Tiger Stadium, where the Tigers beat the Mets by a score of 8-6. This is the Sports Authority post-game show. The Mets scoring those 6 runs in the final 2 innings, but unfortunately for New York, they gave up those 8 runs in the first 6 innings, and so they lose the second game of this series. They've now lost 2 in a row, and while interleague play is a wonderful idea, the Mets have struggled against their American League counterparts, and maybe they're just second-guessing a little bit this interleague idea, because the Mets have not had a good go of it against the American League teams, winning just once against Boston and once against the Yankees. Other than that, they've lost 6 games to their American League counterparts, and a bit of a struggle in interleague play for the New York Mets. Our Coors Light play of the game, the last out of the game. Todd Jones on the mound. The bases are loaded. The Mets have a chance with a base hit to tie it up. Maybe an extra base hit would win it. But instead, Bernard Gilkey, who has been struggling big time, flies out to short right field. And Todd Jones, who earlier this season, Buddy Bell said of, you know right away, he's either really good or really bad, was somewhere in between tonight, but he saves the game nonetheless. Some final thoughts when we come back.